The shuttle door was folding shut when Claire put one hand against it and looked straight at me. "Family rides first," she said. "You can wait." For half a second, I honestly thought there must be somebody behind me. There wasn't. I stood on the hotel sidewalk in the blue dress my son had helped me choose, one hand gripping my purse and the other holding the little gift I was supposed to give him before the ceremony. The bus was full of Claire's mother, her aunts, 2 cousins, the wedding party, and Adam. My Adam. He sat 3 rows back, turned toward the window. When he finally looked at me, I gave him a chance. I didn't wave. I didn't smile to make it easy. I simply waited for my son to say, "That's my mother." Instead, he leaned toward the aisle. "Mom, the next one will be here in 20 minutes. Claire's hand came off the door. There was a soft mechanical sigh, and then glass stood between us. As the shuttle pulled away, Adam twisted in his seat to look back. By then, I had already put on the pleasant expression women like me wear when we've been slapped in a place no bruise will show. 5 months earlier, Claire had called me on a Sunday morning to ask whether I knew anything about welcome bags. "I know they're bags," I said. She laughed harder than the joke deserved. "Claire did that when she wanted something." "I'm serious, Helen. Adam says you're the organizational genius. Adam once lost his car in a 2-level parking garage. Don't use him as a reference. He says you used to coordinate 6 doctors. 7, if you count Dr. Pritchard, which nobody did." Claire laughed again, and I smiled into my coffee. It felt good to make her laugh. She had been careful around me at first, as though I were an antique cabinet she wasn't sure she wanted, but didn't feel entitled to throw away. She and Adam had been engaged for 2 months. The wedding was going to be in September at an old mill outside Savannah, where Claire's mother had grown up. Adam and Claire lived in Atlanta, while I was 2 hours north in a brick ranch house that suddenly seemed to have too many rooms after Tom died. "What do you need the bags to do?" I asked. "Welcome people." I walked into that one. "They'll have a schedule, snacks, bottled water, maybe something local. My mother wants pralines, but Aunt Denise says they melt. Things can melt and still be eaten." "You haven't met Aunt Denise. I met her at the engagement dinner. No, you were introduced to her. Meeting Aunt Denise requires weather gear. That one got me." I was still smiling when Claire told me there would be 84 bags. 84? Some couples can share? Then it's not 84. We have a preliminary room list. The word preliminary should never be allowed near a woman with a label maker. I had learned that during 32 years at a medical practice, where preliminary meant someone else had made a mess and wanted to assign it to me before it became official. I should have told Claire I had plans. I did have plans, technically. My sister Diane had been trying to get me to join a beginner's painting class at the Community Arts Center. She'd already signed up and claimed to have purchased me an apron, though with Diane that could mean anything from a painter's smock to a butcher's bib she found at an estate sale. Instead, I said, "Send me the room list. You are saving my life." "No, I'm putting crackers in paper bags." "You say that now." By lunch, I had a spreadsheet. By Tuesday, I had 3 proposed bag sizes, a price comparison, and a list of local items that would survive both heat and Aunt Denise. That was how it happened with Claire. She never ordered me around. She admired me into service. Adam came by that Thursday carrying takeout from the Thai place near his office. He still had a key to my house, but he knocked now because Claire said adults should knock. Tom used to say the only people who knocked on their own mother's door were carrying either flowers or bad news. Adam had noodles. "You're doing wedding bags?" he asked when he saw the samples on my dining room table. "Apparently." "I told Claire you'd know what to do. You also told her I was an organizational genius." "You are. I found your passport in the freezer once. I was 19. You were 26. He put a hand over his heart. "Why do you keep records of my weakest moments? Because your father is gone, and somebody has to maintain the archives." The sentence landed more heavily than I intended. Adam looked down at the plastic containers. Green curry or pad CU? Whichever one isn't pity. Green curry, then. We ate at the kitchen table because my dining room had become wedding headquarters, without anyone declaring it so. Adam told me the mill had exposed beams, brick walls, and a view of the river. I had seen photographs. It looked beautiful in the way expensive places looked when they were pretending to be old and simple. Dad would have liked it, Adam said. He would have complained about the chairs. He complained about every chair. He had standards. He had a rear end. I laughed, and Adam smiled with one side of his mouth, exactly like Tom. Grief could be mean that way. It could stay quiet all day, then climb into your son's face while he was holding a carton of noodles. Adam reached for a bottle of water and noticed the list taped to my refrigerator. Painting class. Diane's latest attempt to broaden me. You should go. I might. You always say that. So do you. You've been going to clean your garage for 7 years. It's an archival space. I pointed my fork at him. Thief. He smiled, but his eyes moved back to the list. The first class was the same Saturday. Claire wanted to assemble the welcome bag prototypes. Neither of us said it. We didn't have to. Adam knew which one I would choose. Claire came that weekend with ribbon samples, tissue paper, and an iced coffee the size of a flower vase. She kissed my cheek, which surprised me, then set everything across the dining table. My mother thinks navy ribbon is too funereal, she said. Aunt Denise thinks cream will photograph yellow. Aunt Joanne thinks ribbon is wasteful because people will throw it away. What do you think? Claire blinked. It was the first time all morning she stopped moving. I think, she said slowly, that I would like to get married without discussing ribbon. Then don't use ribbon. Her face lit up with such pure relief that I almost felt protective of her. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen and groaned. My mother. Don't answer. Claire stared at me as if I had suggested setting fire to the guest list. If I don't, she'll call Adam. Let her. Then Adam will call me. Don't answer him either. She laughed, but she picked up. Hi, Mom. I watched her shoulders rise before her mother had said 3 words. Claire's mother, Marcy Bell, was a small woman who could make a compliment feel like a building inspection. At the engagement dinner, she had told me my gray hair was very brave, then asked if I had considered softening it. When I said age had already softened most of me, she looked disappointed that I had made a joke instead of accepting the criticism. Claire listened for a while, saying, I know, and we talked about that, and no, I'm not upset. She was clearly upset. When the call ended, she placed her phone face down. My mother says the bags need hangover kits. Are you expecting a medical emergency? Apparently, my cousins drink. Do they not have aspirin where they live? Claire laughed, but then she began adding items to the list. I didn't tell her to stop. That became our arrangement. Claire brought me everyone else's anxieties, and I found containers for them. Over the next several weeks, my house filled with boxes, maps, tissue paper, small jars of peach preserves, individually wrapped pain relievers that made my dining room look like a very cheerful pharmacy. Every few days, Claire would send a message beginning with a tiny apology. I'm so sorry to ask, but could you call the hotel? I hate to bother you, but could you pick up the place cards? You're the only person I trust with this, but the dress shop closes at 6. The apologies were sincere. So were the requests. Diane stood in my dining room one afternoon and surveyed the stacks. Did they move the wedding here? I'm helping. You missed painting again. It was just color mixing. All painting is color mixing. Some of it is fruit. She picked up a miniature jar of preserves and read the label. Did you make these? No, that's something. I put the stickers on. Of course you did. Diane was 71 and had recently decided that directness was a reward she had earned by surviving cholesterol medication and 2 disappointing husbands. She held up the jar. Will your name be on any of this? It's not a school project, Diane. I'm asking whether anybody knows you're doing it. They know. Does Adam? He's the one who suggested me. That isn't what I asked. I took the jar from her and straightened the label, though it was already straight. Diane sighed. Helen, you understand that being useful and being included are not the same thing. Claire includes me. In what? This. She looked around at the boxes. That, she said, is my point. I wanted to dismiss her, but the dress shop called before I could. Claire's gown was ready and she was stuck in traffic across town. Could I pick it up before closing? Diane watched me grab my keys. Don't, I said. I didn't say anything. You were about to. I was about to ask whether the dress gets to attend the wedding. I laughed in spite of myself. The truth was, Claire had invited me to come when she first tried on gowns. 2 days later, she called to explain that her mother and aunts had turned it into a family outing, and the boutique limited the number of guests. I knew you'd understand, she said, and I had. That was the trouble. Adam understood too. He had been understanding things on my behalf since he was old enough to learn I would forgive him. In August, he came over with the final transportation schedule. The mill had almost no parking, so shuttles would carry everyone from the hotel. You're on the first one, he said, tapping the page. 3:30. Family photographs start at 4. I looked at the line beside my name. Helen Mercer, mother of groom. There it was, printed clearly. Don't let Claire's aunts bump me, I said. Adam grinned. I'll throw Aunt Denise into the river myself. You've never met Aunt Denise. I met her at the engagement dinner. No, you were introduced to her. Meeting Aunt Denise requires weather gear. He stared at me. Claire's line, I admitted. I knew you two would team up against me. He sounded pleased. So was I. That was the strange part. For all the little moments that stung, I believed Claire and I were building something. I thought the requests meant she trusted me. I thought Adam's certainty that I would help meant he still considered my house a place where his life could land. I did not yet understand that people can love the place where they set down their burdens without ever wondering what the weight is doing to it. I put the transportation schedule under a sunflower magnet on my refrigerator and looked at it every morning for the next 3 weeks. 3:30. First shuttle. Family photographs at 4. It became proof of something I had not admitted needed proving. The week before the wedding, Claire called to say the hotel had misplaced 14 welcome bags. They can't misplace them, I said. They're numbered. I know. The room list is taped to the inside of every carton. I know, and I emailed a copy to the front desk. Helen, I know. Her voice cracked on my name. I stopped pacing. Where are you? In my car. Are you driving? I'm parked outside a frozen yogurt place. Have you had lunch? There was a pause. Coffee. That wasn't the question. I had almonds. Almonds are punctuation. They are not a sentence. She made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. I told her to give me the hotel manager's number. It took 20 minutes to learn that the bags had not been misplaced. The room assignments had changed, and a banquet employee had moved 2 cartons into a locked office for safekeeping. Nobody had thought to mention it. When I called Claire back, she was still outside the frozen yogurt shop. Go inside, I said. Get something with enough toppings to qualify as food. You fixed it? There was nothing to fix. I don't know what I'd do without you. It was a lovely thing to hear if you did not examine it too closely. I drove to Savannah on Thursday morning with my blue dress hanging across the back seat and 4 boxes of wedding supplies in the trunk. The little velvet case containing Tom's cufflinks was tucked inside my purse. I had found them while looking for a pair of earrings, still sitting in the wooden tray where he used to drop his watch every night. Tom had worn those cufflinks to our wedding, though he spent most of the reception complaining that one kept turning backward. He claimed it was defective. I claimed he was defective. We were married 41 years, so neither argument was ever settled. I had decided to give the cufflinks to Adam before the ceremony, not so he could wear them. Claire had already chosen every visible part of his clothing, including socks that matched the bridesmaids' dresses. I only wanted him to have something his father had carried into his own wedding. The hotel lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and lilies. 6 members of Claire's family occupied the seating area as if they had been evacuated there. Garment bags hung from lamps. Someone had arranged champagne bottles across the concierge desk. Claire hurried toward me in leggings and a white sweatshirt with bride printed across the front. "You're here." She wrapped both arms around me. Not a polite embrace either. She held on. "Unless there's another gray-haired woman hauling peach preserves through the lobby," I said, "you are never allowed to leave. That seems like a poor hotel policy." She took one box from my arms and immediately handed it to a passing bellman. Marcy appeared behind her wearing cream slacks and the expression of a woman who had just caught the world using the wrong fork. "Helen, we thought you'd be here by 10. It's 9:45. Marcy checked the narrow gold watch on her wrist. "So it is." Claire's eyes met mine over her mother's shoulder. For one dangerous second, I thought we might both laugh. Then Marcy asked, "Did you bring the emergency kits? In the trunk. And the extra schedules? Also in the trunk. The steamer? Back seat?" Marcy nodded. "Wonderful." "Claire, see? This is why one needs a mother." The sentence was intended as praise. Claire heard it. So did I. She looked at me quickly, but Marcy was already turning away. "There's been a problem with Denise's suite." "Of course there has," Claire murmured. Marcy looked back. "What?" I said, "I'll handle it." By noon, I had delivered every box, shown the hotel staff how the bags were numbered, and steamed 2 bridesmaid dresses belonging to women I had never met. At one point, a tall red-headed woman walked into the hospitality room, took a bottle of water from my hand, and asked whether I worked for the venue. "I work for poor judgment," I told her. She thanked me and left without understanding. Adam arrived around 2. I saw him before he saw me. He came through the lobby carrying his suit over one shoulder, scanning the room with the distracted smile he wore when he knew everyone was pleased to see him. I had not realized how much I needed him to look for me. When he found me beside the registration table, his face changed. "There's my mother." He crossed the lobby and hugged me. For that moment, everything Diane had said seemed unnecessarily suspicious. "You made it," I told him. "I live closer than you do. You've gotten lost on your way to my house. Once. Twice." The second time was construction. The second time was a woman. He leaned back. Her name was Construction. I laughed against his shoulder. Marcy called for Claire from across the lobby, and Claire called for Adam, and a hotel employee called for whoever had reserved a private dining room under the name Bell, but wanted the sign to read Mercer Bell. Adam squeezed my arms. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You sure? I've steamed more polyester than I expected, but I'll recover." He looked toward the dining room. "Claire's family can be a lot. Your family can be a lot. My family is you." He said it casually, already turning toward Claire. The words followed me for the rest of the afternoon. The rehearsal was at 5. The mill sat at the end of a narrow road lined with live oaks and long curtains of moss. Inside, strings of small lights glowed along the old beams. The brick had been scrubbed just enough to make the place expensive without making it look new. Adam stood beneath the wooden arch while the coordinator explained where everyone should walk. For a moment, with his hands in his pockets and the river moving beyond the windows, he looked 10 years old and 40 at once. Tom should have been beside me. That thought arrived without warning and took the air out of my chest. Claire came down the pretend aisle wearing jeans and holding a paper bouquet from the rehearsal kit. She saw Adam and smiled. Not the smile she used for photographs. It was crooked and almost shy. Adam smiled back. Whatever else happened, they loved each other. I never doubted that. Afterward, he found me near the windows. "You disappeared," he said. "I moved 8 feet. Still counts." We watched Claire's aunts debate the placement of a memorial table. There would be framed photographs of relatives who had died, including Tom. Aunt Denise wanted the table moved away from the bar because she thought liquor bottles would appear in the background of pictures. "Your father would have wanted to be near the bar," I said. Adam laughed, then covered his mouth when Denise glanced over. I reached into my purse for the velvet case. Before I could take it out, Claire called his name. The coordinator needed him to practice the recessional again because somebody had turned the wrong direction. "I'll find you later," Adam said. I closed my purse. At the rehearsal dinner, Marcy toasted the joining of two wonderful families and spoke for 9 minutes about Claire's childhood, her standards, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who reflected your values. Adam's best friend, Ben, followed with a story about Adam trying to assemble a dining table upside down. It was a relief to hear about screws. When Adam gave his toast, he thanked Marcy for raising Claire, Claire's aunts for helping with the wedding, and me for making sure absolutely everything got where it needed to go. Everyone applauded. I applauded too. It was kind. It was accurate. I hated that it was the only thing he could think to say. Back at the hotel, Claire stopped me near the elevators. "I'm sorry about my mother earlier." "Which part?" Her mouth tightened. The mother comment. I knew what she meant. That doesn't make it better. "No." The elevator opened, but neither of us stepped inside. Claire rubbed at a faint spot on her sweatshirt. She gets like this when the family is together. Everything has to be ranked. Who traveled farthest? Who spent the most? Who helped first? That sounds exhausting. It is. Then why do you do it too? The question came out before I had softened it. Claire's face changed. I could have rescued the moment. I usually did. Instead, I waited. "I don't," she said. The elevator doors started to close. Claire put out her hand and they opened again. "I'm trying to keep everyone happy," she added. "Everyone?" Her eyes flicked toward mine and away. "You know what I mean." I did. That was the problem. She stepped into the elevator. Just before the doors closed, she said, 3:30 tomorrow. First shuttle. Don't be late." The next afternoon, I was downstairs at 3:15. I had dressed alone in my hotel room, then stood in front of the mirror longer than necessary. The blue dress fit well. My hair refused to behave on the left side, but Tom had once told me symmetry was for government buildings. I put on my earrings, slipped the velvet case into my purse, and went downstairs. The lobby was louder than it had been all weekend. Men in dark suits carried garment bags and shouted room numbers. Women in long dresses balanced makeup cases and champagne glasses. The coordinator moved through everyone with a headset pressed to one ear. The first shuttle was already outside. I checked my watch. 3:22. At the registration table, the printed schedule was gone. A new handwritten list lay in its place. My name was not on it. I found Claire near the doors. She was wearing a silk robe over her wedding gown while two women held the train off the floor. "There's been a change," she said before I asked. "We need to get my mother's side over for photographs. I'm scheduled for photographs." "I know. We'll make it work." "How?" "The next shuttle. That gets there at 4. The ceremony isn't until 4:30. Family photographs start at 4. Claire closed her eyes for 1 second. "Helen, please. I cannot do this right now. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm telling you where I'm supposed to be." Marcy appeared beside us. "The driver says we have to leave," she said. Claire turned toward the shuttle. "Fine, everyone on." People began boarding in a rush. I followed because my name had been on the original schedule, because Adam had promised, and because I still believed a printed piece of paper meant more than the habit of moving me last. There were 3 people ahead of me when the driver announced he had only 2 seats left. Marcy climbed aboard. Aunt Denise climbed aboard. I reached the door. Then Claire placed her hand against it and told me family rode first. The shuttle disappeared around the corner, leaving a gust of warm air and exhaust behind it. The coordinator had gone with the wedding party. The handwritten list fluttered on the registration table inside. I stood there until the bellman asked if I needed help. "Yes," I said. "I need to get to my son's wedding." He gave me the careful look people give an older woman when they are trying to determine whether she is confused. "When is it?" I checked my watch. In 58 minutes. The bellman's name was Marcus. He wore a small gold pin shaped like a key and had the calm voice of a man who spent his days explaining why hotel rooms were not ready. "Were you supposed to be on that shuttle?" he asked. "Yes." "Do you have the address?" I opened my purse and pulled out the printed schedule Claire had mailed me 2 weeks earlier. The paper had been folded and unfolded enough times to feel like cloth. Marcus studied it. This says, the first shuttle leaves at 3:30. I know, it's 3:25. I know that too. He looked toward the glass doors, as if the shuttle might reverse back into view and apologize. Let me call you a car. The first rideshare driver accepted the request, sat motionless on the map for 6 minutes, then canceled. The second called to say police had closed part of River Street for an event, and he could not reach the hotel. What event? I asked. I don't know, ma'am. Something with bicycles. Can I borrow one? He laughed, then realized I was only partly joking. Marcus called a taxi company. Their dispatcher said 45 minutes. He tried another hotel's car service, but both vehicles were already taking wedding guests to the mill. Apparently, there are 3 weddings today, he said. I only need one. My phone showed 3:38. I called Adam. His phone went straight to voicemail. Adam, it's me. The shuttle left without me. I'm still at the hotel. Call me. I kept my voice even because mothers are trained to sound calm when the people we love are the reason we are frightened. I called Claire. Hers went to voicemail too. I'm trying to get there. Please tell Adam. The wedding coordinator's number was printed in tiny type at the bottom of the schedule. I called twice. No answer. Marcus asked whether there was anyone else at the venue I could reach. There were dozens of people there. I had spent weeks learning their room numbers, food allergies, travel times, and opinions about ribbon. I did not have their telephone numbers. I know the groom, I said. Marcus smiled politely. He's not picking up. At 3:47, an older man in a tuxedo hurried out of the elevator with one shoe untied. I recognized him as a friend of Marcy's brother, though I could not remember his name. He looked at me, looked toward the empty drive, and swore. You missed it too? It left early. I thought it left at 3:30. So did the paper. He introduced himself as Walter, then admitted his wife had gone ahead because he had been unable to find his cufflinks. I almost laughed. Did you find them? He held up his wrists. Small silver sailboats gleamed from his cuffs. They were in my shoe. Of course they were. Walter had a rental car in the garage. For one hopeful second, I thought the problem was solved. Then the valet informed him the car had been parked behind 6 others because he had said he would not need it until Sunday. How long? Walter asked. 20 minutes, maybe 30. My phone showed 3:52. The second shuttle should be here soon, Marcus said. The schedule said it would depart at 4. The driver called the hotel at 3:58 to report an accident near the bridge. He was still at the mill. How long? Marcus asked. I watched his face. Understood, he said, and hung up. How long? He says 20 minutes. Is that real 20 minutes or hotel 20 minutes? He did not answer quickly enough. Walter began pacing. I sat down on the edge of a lobby chair because my knees had started to feel unreliable. People passed carrying shopping bags and cups of coffee. The hotel's automatic doors opened and closed, letting in slabs of September heat. The ordinary world continued with astonishing confidence. At 4:05, Adam still had not called. I opened our text conversation. The last message from him had arrived the night before. First shuttle, Mom. Don't disappear on me. I typed, I'm still at the hotel. The message showed, delivered but not read. Walter sat across from me, elbows on his knees. Bride's side, he asked. Groom's mother. His mouth opened. I watched him decide not to say whatever came to mind. The bride told me family had to ride first. Walter looked toward the doors. What does that make you? That is an excellent question. He loosened his tie. You want me to call Marcy? Would she answer? She answers me. That told me more than I needed to know. He called. It rang, then went to voicemail. Maybe they've started, he said. The ceremony was scheduled for 4:30. At 4:12, I imagined Adam standing in the small room behind the mill with Ben checking his watch. Maybe he assumed I had found another ride. Maybe Claire had told him I was coming on the second shuttle. Maybe he had asked once, accepted the first answer, and turned his attention back to the woman he was about to marry. I reached into my purse and found the velvet case. For a wild moment, I considered leaving it at the front desk and going upstairs. I could take off the blue dress, wash the makeup from my face, and let them explain my empty chair, however they liked. Instead, I ran my thumb over the worn edge of the case. Tom would have gone to the mill on foot if he had to. He would have arrived furious and sweating, complained about his knees, then lied that everything was fine so Adam could get married without guilt. I did not want to miss my son's wedding because Claire had been cruel and Adam had been weak. I also did not want my attendance mistaken for permission. The shuttle appeared at 4:21. Walter and I were standing before it reached the curb. The driver, a woman named Angela, jumped out and began apologizing. There had been a minor collision near the bridge, traffic was backed up, and the coordinator had told her to wait at the venue for 2 additional passengers who never appeared. The coordinator knew people were waiting here? I asked. Angela's face told me she wished she had stayed in the driver's seat. I don't know what she knew, ma'am. The ride should have taken 20 minutes. It took 33. Walter talked most of the way, which I appreciated. He told me about getting engaged to his 3rd wife on a fishing boat and dropping the ring between 2 coolers. He told me he had once attended the wrong funeral and stayed because leaving would have been rude. I watched the time change on my phone. 4:30, 4:35, 4:42, no one called. When we finally turned onto the road leading to the mill, cars lined both sides beneath the live oaks. Through the branches, I could see the river flashing in the sun. Then I heard applause. It came through the open shuttle windows, distant but unmistakable. Angela pulled beside the entrance at 4:54. Walter got out first. I stepped down carefully because the ground was uneven and because I refused to fall at the end of all that. The mill doors opened. Claire and Adam came out together. Everyone inside rose behind them. Claire was laughing, her face bright beneath her veil. Adam held her hand over his heart as though he could not believe his luck. For 1 second, I saw only my son on his wedding day. Then he saw me. His smile faltered. Not much. A photographer was walking backward in front of them, taking pictures, and Adam recovered before most people would have noticed. I noticed. I had known every version of his face. He mouthed, "Mom." I stepped aside so they could pass. Claire's eyes moved over me. Surprise came first, then relief, as if my arrival had fixed the problem. "We'll talk," she whispered. She kept walking. Inside, white flower petals dotted the aisle. My chair sat in the front row beside the memorial table. An usher had placed my program on the seat. Tom's framed photograph faced the room, his expression caught halfway between a smile and a complaint. Walter touched my elbow. "I'm sorry," he said. It was the first apology anyone offered me that day. Guests were directed toward the courtyard for cocktails, while the immediate families finished photographs near the river. I stayed inside until a server began collecting programs. Adam found me beside the memorial table 15 minutes later. What happened? He sounded breathless, almost angry. I looked at him. The shuttle left me. "I know that. Claire said you were taking the next one. The next one was still here because it was still there. You could have called." I did. My phone was with Ben. I called Claire too. Hers was with her sister. I called the coordinator. Mom, once everything started, I couldn't exactly stop the wedding. I had not asked him to. He rubbed both hands over his face. I kept looking at the door. "Did you?" "Of course I did. But you got married." The second I said it, I regretted it. Not because it was untrue, but because I had made his marriage sound like an offense. His face hardened. What was I supposed to do? Before I could answer, Claire came toward us, still carrying her bouquet. "There you are. Helen, I am so sorry about the transportation mix-up. It wasn't a mix-up. We changed the order because my mother's family needed to be there for the early pictures. So did I. I know. That's why we're going to redo them now." She motioned toward the river, where the photographer stood arranging chairs. Adam brightened with relief. "See? We can fix it." "Fix what?" "The pictures." "I didn't miss pictures, Adam." Neither of them spoke. I looked down at Claire's bouquet. One white rose had begun to droop over her wrist. "This is your reception," I said. "Go enjoy it." "Mom, not here." The words came out quietly. They stopped him better than shouting would have. I joined the cocktail hour. People asked where I had been, and I said the shuttle was delayed. That answer made everyone comfortable. Aunt Denise told me the ceremony had been beautiful. Marcy said it was unfortunate, but nobody could control traffic. Nobody mentioned the closed door. At dinner, I sat at the correct table between Adam's uncle and one of Claire's cousins. My place card had my name spelled properly. A glass of champagne waited above my knife. Every detail was perfect. When the band announced the mother-son dance, Adam came to my chair and held out his hand. I could have refused. A small, bitter part of me wanted to let him stand there while everyone watched. Instead, I took his hand. We moved beneath the lights while a singer promised something about always being there. Adam held me carefully, as if I had become fragile in the last 2 hours. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I looked over his shoulder at the tables, the flowers, and Claire watching us with her hands folded beneath her chin. "I know," I said. But I did not give him the velvet case. It stayed at the bottom of my purse while we finished the dance, and for the first time in Adam's life, I let him feel that sorry was not the same as forgiven. When the song ended, Adam kissed my forehead. The room applauded. He kept one hand at my waist as the band shifted into something louder, and Claire came onto the floor. For a moment, the three of us stood together beneath the string lights, smiling for people who had their phones raised. Claire touched my arm. "You look beautiful," she said. "So do you." She did. Her veil was gone, and small white flowers had begun loosening from her hair. She looked younger without everything arranged around her face. "Thank you for dancing with him." The remark was so odd that I almost asked what she meant. Instead, Adam drew her toward him as the bridal party crowded onto the floor. I stepped away. At my table, Uncle Ray had stolen my dinner roll. "You left it unguarded," he said. "You're wearing a suit, Ray. Try to behave like civilization reached you. The doctor says I need carbohydrates." No doctor has ever said that. He implied it. I let him keep the roll. For the next hour, I participated in the wedding exactly as expected. I listened to speeches. I ate a piece of lemon cake. I posed in a cluster of extended relatives while the photographer shouted for the tall people to move backward, and nobody admitted to being tall. I smiled in every picture. When the photographer asked for Adam, Claire, and me alone, I declined. "Just one," Adam said. "You two have guests. This'll take 30 seconds. We can do it at brunch," Claire said. "The light in the courtyard is gorgeous in the morning." The photographer lowered his camera slightly. I could feel him trying not to listen. "No," I said. Adam's smile stayed in place. "No to morning. No to remaking the family photographs." His eyes changed. Claire glanced toward the photographer. "Can we have a minute?" The man disappeared with professional speed. Claire kept her voice low. "Helen, we're not trying to pretend anything. What are we trying to do? Make sure you're included. I wasn't. That's why we're fixing it. You can't." Claire looked at Adam as if I were speaking another language and he had failed to translate. He said, "Mom, please." There it was again. Please did not mean hear me. It meant help me get through this moment without consequences. I picked up my purse. "I'm not making a scene. We know," Adam said quickly. "No, you're both standing here waiting for me to reassure you, and I'm not going to do it. That isn't a scene." Claire's mouth tightened. I apologized. "You called it a transportation mix-up. What do you want me to call it?" I looked at her. She looked away first. Marcy swept toward us before the silence could settle. "The band needs the two of you," she told Adam and Claire. Then she noticed my purse. "Are you leaving?" "Soon. You can't leave before the cake cutting. They cut the cake 40 minutes ago." Marcy blinked. "The bouquet, then. I don't believe I'm eligible." Adam made a sound that might have become a laugh under different circumstances. Marcy did not find it funny. She touched my elbow and guided me 2 steps away from the newlyweds, though I had not agreed to be guided. "Helen, I know the transportation was unfortunate," she said, "but these days go by so quickly. Claire will remember whatever mood we create around her." I waited. Marcy lowered her voice further. "I would hate for one logistical problem to become the story of the wedding. I miss my son getting married. There was an accident after the first shuttle left." Her fingers released my elbow. "Well," she said, "everyone was under enormous pressure. I was standing on a sidewalk." Marcy's expression cooled. She had offered me the approved version of events, and I had failed to accept it. "I'm sure Adam understands," she said. "So am I." I stayed another 20 minutes because leaving immediately would have felt like obeying her. I spoke to Walter, who told me he had already informed half the room that the hotel's shuttle system was an insult to modern transportation. "You don't have to do that," I told him. "I know. I enjoy complaining." He raised his glass toward me. At 10:30, I walked outside to catch the return shuttle. The same warm air met me, heavy with river water and flowers. Angela was driving again. She recognized me. "I saved you a seat up front," she said. "That nearly undid me." I sat behind her while guests boarded in noisy groups. Walter climbed on last and announced that he had counted everyone twice, including the driver. "No woman left behind," he said. A few people laughed. I looked out the window. Back at the hotel, I took off my shoes in the elevator. My feet had swollen, and I carried the heels by their straps down the hallway like 2 defeated birds. Inside my room, I hung the blue dress over the desk chair and emptied my purse onto the bed. Lipstick, room key, tissues, the printed schedule, the velvet case. I opened it. Tom's cufflinks lay against faded cream satin, plain silver ovals with a narrow black stripe. He had worn them to office Christmas parties, funerals, and one disastrous anniversary dinner, where the waiter spilled tomato soup down his shirt. I could hear him saying, "Well, it needed color." I sat on the edge of the bed and held one cufflink in my palm. "I tried," I told him. The room's air conditioner clicked on. My phone buzzed. Adam had sent a message. "I love you. Please don't let today ruin everything." I read it twice. He did not say what had happened. He did not ask whether I was all right. He wrote as if the day itself had climbed off the calendar and hurt me. I placed the phone face down. The next message came from Claire. "Brunch at 10. Photographer can come at 10:30 if you change your mind. Love you." 2 messages, 2 requests that I repair the damage by agreeing it could be repaired. I put the cufflinks back in their case, zipped them into the inside pocket of my suitcase, and turned out the light. I did not sleep much. At 7 the next morning, I showered, packed, and carried my suitcase downstairs. The lobby had the wrecked look of a place where a wedding had passed through. Empty champagne bottles stood beside wilting arrangements. A single silver shoe rested beneath a chair. Claire's cousin from dinner wandered toward the elevators wearing sunglasses and carrying a plate of bacon. "Helen," she said, "you're awake. So are you, apparently." Debatable. Near the registration table, 6 cartons waited beneath a handwritten sign, "Farewell Gifts." Helen and I stopped. The boxes contained small paper sacks of coffee and boxes of pralines, meant to be distributed at brunch. I had agreed weeks earlier to place them at every seat. At the time, it had sounded like one more harmless favor. Now the label felt like a test. I found the front desk manager and asked whether someone from the banquet staff could deliver the boxes to the private dining room. "There may be a handling charge," he said. "That's fine. Should I put it on the Mercer Bell account?" "Yes." I removed the sign with my name and set it on the desk. Adam came out of the elevator while the manager was arranging the delivery. He wore jeans, a wrinkled t-shirt, and the dazed expression of a man who had slept 4 hours and expected to be congratulated for it. "Mom?" "Good morning." "What are you doing?" "Checking out. Brunch is at 10. I'm going home." He glanced at the cartons. "What about the gifts? The hotel will deliver them. You said you'd set them out? Yes. His face shifted as he heard himself. I waited to see whether he would correct it. He pushed a hand through his hair. Claire's going to think you're leaving because of yesterday. I am. Mom, I stayed for the reception. I smiled. I danced with you. I am not staying to put coffee at place settings and pose in a replacement photograph. It's not a replacement. What is it? A picture of us. At a brunch. So I wanted a picture at your wedding. His shoulders dropped. I didn't know the shuttle would leave you. You were on it. I thought another one was coming. You knew I was supposed to be with you. I was getting married, Mom. I had 100 things happening. You had one mother. The words sat between us. Adam looked toward the elevators. I knew that look. He was worried Claire might appear before he had smoothed me back into place. I'm not asking you to choose between us, I said. Why would you even say that? Because you keep acting as if recognizing what happened would betray your wife. She made a mistake. She made a decision. It was one seat. No, Adam. It was my seat. A woman at the front desk shifted away to give us privacy while listening to every word. Adam lowered his voice. Can we please talk about this after the honeymoon? Of course. You're not answering my question. You didn't ask one. He stared at me. I kissed his cheek. He smelled like hotel soap and last night's champagne. Go have brunch with your wife, I said. He did not hug me back. The valet brought my car around. As I drove out of Savannah, my phone rang through the speakers. Claire. I let it ring. She called again 10 minutes later. Then Adam sent a message asking me to tell him when I got home safely. That one I answered at a rest stop. I'm safe. Have a good trip. I did not add a heart. Diane was sitting on my front steps when I pulled into the driveway. She held 2 coffees and wore enormous sunglasses. You look terrible, she said. So do you. I'm not the one who attended a wedding. I got out of the car. She took one look at my face and stopped smiling. What happened? I unlocked the front door without answering. She followed me into the kitchen and waited while I set down my purse, opened the refrigerator, and stared at food I did not want. Finally, I said, Claire told me family rode first. Diane went still. And Adam? She asked. I closed the refrigerator. He rode with them. She removed her sunglasses. For once in her life, my sister had no immediate opinion. She came around the kitchen island and put both arms around me. I held myself together until she whispered, You don't have to make this easier for anybody. Then I cried so hard she had to take Tom's cufflinks from my hand before I dropped them. Diane made me sit at the kitchen table while she poured both coffees into mugs and reheated them in the microwave. You know that ruins coffee, I said. You're crying over people who left you on a sidewalk, and this is what you object to. The coffee didn't do anything. She set a mug in front of me and took the chair beside mine. Tom's cufflinks remained closed in her palm. Start at the beginning. I don't want to. Fine. Start at the part that makes me need bail money. Despite myself, I laughed. That's better, she said. Now talk. I told her about the changed list, the 2 remaining seats, and Adam watching from inside. I told her about Marcus, Walter, the accident, and hearing applause as the shuttle turned onto the mill road. I told her Adam said I should have called. Diane's mouth became a straight line. You did call. I know. He knew you were supposed to be there. I know. And then they tried to stage the pictures again? It wasn't staging, according to them. What was it? Historical reenactment? Apparently. She stood and began pacing around the kitchen. Diane was not a graceful, angry person. She pointed at objects that had nothing to do with the conversation and opened cabinets without needing anything inside them. I'm going to call him. No. I won't shout. You absolutely will. I'll speak in a controlled manner. You accused a pharmacist of attempted murder because he changed the shape of your blood pressure pills. He should have warned me. You are not calling Adam. She leaned both hands against the counter. Why are you protecting him? I'm not. It looks very similar from here. I don't want my sister fighting with my son on my behalf. That doesn't help. It would help me. I held out my hand for the cufflinks. Diane returned them reluctantly. What were you going to do with those? Give them to him. At the wedding? Before. Why didn't you? I never had the chance. You had the dance. I looked down at the case. It didn't feel right. No, she said. It wouldn't. She stayed until evening. We ate toast because neither of us wanted to cook, and she made me promise not to call Adam while I was still deciding which part of the conversation I was willing to have. That works both ways, I told her. I already promised I wouldn't call. You promised you wouldn't shout. I implied the rest. Before she left, she walked into my dining room and looked at the remaining wedding supplies. 2 unopened cartons of paper bags stood against the wall. Rolls of tissue paper filled one chair. A plastic bin held spare schedules, ribbon samples, markers, tape, and a stack of blank place cards. We should burn it, she said. It's paper. Exactly. Very cooperative material. Go home, Diane. The next morning, I woke at 6:30 with the feeling that I had forgotten something important. For months, every morning had started with a list. Call the hotel, confirm the dress pickup, check the room assignments, remind Adam to send his cousin's address. There had always been a task waiting before I had both feet on the floor. Now there was nothing. I stayed in bed until 7. Then, 7:15, it felt less like rest than unemployment. When I finally walked into the dining room, the boxes seemed to be waiting for instructions. I sorted everything into 3 groups: trash, donation, and items belonging to Adam and Claire. The work took most of the morning because I kept stopping to read notes in Claire's handwriting. Please ask Helen. Helen will know. Helen has extras. Her faith in me was everywhere. By noon, the dining table was visible again. I wiped it down, placed a bowl of apples in the center, and stood there looking at all that empty wood. I sent Adam one message. I packed the remaining wedding items into 2 boxes. You can pick them up when you're back. He responded an hour later from the airport. Thanks, Mom. About to board. Love you. I typed love you too. That part had not changed. During the 10 days they were away, Adam sent photographs from the honeymoon. Claire standing beside a blue tiled wall. Adam holding a drink inside a pineapple, their feet at the edge of a pool. I responded to each picture with something pleasant. Beautiful. Looks wonderful. Wear sunscreen. It was not punishment. I simply could not find a sentence that belonged between us. Claire sent one message of her own. I hope we can talk when we're home. I hate knowing you're hurt. I read it several times. She had not said she was sorry for hurting me. Still, I could see the effort in the words, and I did not want to become so committed to my anger that I rejected every imperfect attempt. I answered, yes, we should talk. The Saturday after the wedding, Diane arrived at my house carrying the apron she had threatened me with. It was bright yellow and said, "I'm a big dill," beneath a picture of a pickle. You bought that specifically to prevent me from going with you, I said. You'll blend in. With what, a sandwich shop? She drove me to the arts center before I could change my mind. The instructor placed 3 apples on a white cloth and told us to paint what we saw, rather than what we thought an apple looked like. I thought that was a lot to ask before 10 in the morning. Mine came out resembling red potatoes. Diane's looked like 3 tomatoes being interrogated under a bright light. You're worse than I am, I whispered. I'm expressing tension. You're expressing marinara. A woman at the next table laughed. I recognized her as Paula Jennings, who had worked in billing at the medical practice before she retired. We had promised to meet for lunch at least 6 times and never had. Helen Mercer, she said. I thought you moved. I considered it, but packing looked exhausting. We talked during the break. Paula had taken up painting after her husband died, then admitted she mostly attended because the class went for biscuits afterward. That sounds more within my skill set, I said. She invited me to join them. My first instinct was to say I had things to do. Then I remembered my empty dining table. I'd like that. The biscuits were dry, the coffee was worse than Diane's reheated cup, and I stayed for 2 hours. Adam and Claire came to my house the following Sunday. I made chicken with rosemary and potatoes. because cooking for Adam was a habit my hands remembered even when the rest of me was uncertain. They arrived carrying a framed photograph wrapped in brown paper. "We brought you something," Claire said. The picture showed Adam and me during the mother-son dance. His head was bent toward mine and my face was turned slightly away. The string lights blurred behind us like stars. It was beautiful. It was also a photograph of me helping them assure 200 people that everything was fine. "I thought you might like it," Claire said. "Thank you." I set it on the console table in the hallway. Claire watched to see where I put it. Dinner began politely. They described the honeymoon, the hotel, and a boat tour during which Adam became seasick and tried to blame the weather. "The ocean was moving," he said. "That is one of its known characteristics," I told him. He grinned. For a few minutes, we were ourselves again. Then Claire set down her fork. "I don't want to spend the whole evening avoiding this." Adam looked at his plate. I folded my napkin once. "Neither do I." Claire took a breath. "I am sorry you missed the ceremony." "Thank you. I should have made sure the second shuttle was ready before the first one left. You should have let me board the first one." Her chin lifted slightly. "There weren't enough seats. I had one. We had to make a decision quickly. And you decided I could wait. I knew you would understand. That's what people say when they mean they knew I wouldn't fight them." Adam shifted in his chair. "Mom, Claire's trying." "I know." "Then meet her halfway. I am sitting at my table, listening." Claire's eyes shone, though whether from anger or hurt I could not tell. "I spent the entire weekend trying to hold my family together," she said. "My mother was panicking about photographs. Denise was threatening to skip them. The coordinator was rushing everyone, and the driver said we had to go. So you did what made your mother happy. That isn't fair. It may not be. It's still what happened." I apologized. "For a mix-up. I'm sorry I said what I said." The room went quiet. That was the first time she acknowledged the words themselves. I waited. Claire rubbed one thumb over the side of her water glass. "I was stressed," she added. There it was. The apology arrived carrying its own escape route. "You were," I said. "What else do you want from me?" "I don't know yet." Adam looked up. "How can she fix it if you won't tell her?" "Maybe fixing it is not the first thing." "What does that mean?" "It means I need time to understand why both of you thought leaving me behind was reasonable." "I did not leave you behind," Adam said. "You were on the shuttle. I didn't control the seats. You controlled your own mouth." His face reddened. Claire pushed her chair back slightly. "So, this is about Adam now?" "It was always about Adam." That surprised all three of us. Claire looked at him. Adam looked at me. I had not planned to say it, but once the words were in the room, I knew they were true. Claire had known me for 3 years. She had hurt me. Adam had known me his entire life. He had permitted it because he trusted that my love came without a breaking point. He stood and carried his plate to the sink, though dinner was not finished. "I'm not doing this if you're going to make me choose between my wife and my mother. No one asked you to choose." "That's exactly what you're doing." "I'm asking why you chose when no one required it." Claire whispered his name. He turned on the faucet too hard, splashing water across the counter. I stayed in my chair. After a moment, Claire said, "Maybe we should go." They left without dessert. Adam carried the 2 boxes of wedding supplies to his car. Claire hugged me at the door, but her body remained stiff. Adam kissed my cheek and said nothing. The framed photograph stayed on the console table. 3 days later, Adam called while I was cleaning paintbrushes at the kitchen sink. A furniture company was delivering a new dining set on Friday. The delivery window was 8 hours and neither he nor Claire could miss work. "Can they bring it to your garage?" he asked. "Just for a few days?" My garage already held 4 of their wedding gifts. 2 suitcases Adam had not used in years, and a lamp Claire disliked but had not decided to throw away. "No," I said. Silence came across the line. "What?" I can't receive it. You'll be home. I have plans." "What plans?" I looked at the red paint staining the water. It doesn't matter. The strange thing was that I nearly changed my answer. I could feel the old reflex rising, ready to protect him from inconvenience. Then Adam sighed. "You've really changed since the wedding." I dried my hands on a towel. "No," I said. "I think you just noticed me." Adam did not answer immediately. I could hear traffic through his car speakers and the faint clicking of his turn signal. What's that supposed to mean? It means I have always had plans, preferences, and limits. You only noticed them when they stopped matching yours. I asked you to accept a table, and I said I couldn't. You said you had plans, but you won't tell me what they are. Because you're deciding whether they're important enough. That's not what I'm doing. It is exactly what you're doing." He made an irritated sound. "Fine, forget it." "Adam." "What? I love you." He exhaled. "You keep saying that after you say no." "I said it for years while saying yes. Maybe that confused you." He ended the call without saying it back. I stood at the sink until the red paint had washed from the brushes and spiraled down the drain. My hands were trembling. The plans I had refused to explain were not impressive. Paula had invited Diane and me to an evening class at the Arts Center, where an instructor was going to teach us how to paint reflections on glass. I had no particular interest in painting glass. I did have an interest in not spending Friday trapped in my house for 8 hours, because Adam did not want to use a vacation day. Still, I nearly called him back. It would have been easy to say the furniture could come to my garage after all. I could move the lamp and the wedding gifts against the wall. I could spread an old sheet over the dining set and let Adam believe our relationship had returned to normal. That was the dangerous thing about old habits. They offered relief before they charged you for it. I went to the class. My painted glass looked like a gray bucket. Paula's looked like an eggplant with a handle. Diane refused to follow the lesson and painted a martini. "At least people know what mine is," she said. "People know what mine is." "What?" "Glass. Name one glass shaped like that, a free one." Paula laughed so hard she got white paint on her sleeve. After class, we went for hamburgers with another woman from the old medical practice, Gloria Ames. Gloria had worked at the front desk for 19 years and could remember every patient's name while forgetting where she parked. "I wondered why you vanished," she said. "I retired. Not from work. From us." The observation was delivered without accusation, which made it harder to dismiss. "I didn't vanish. You missed my retirement dinner. Adam needed help moving. You missed Paula's birthday lunch. Claire had her dress fitting. You skipped the Christmas market. I don't like Christmas markets." Gloria raised one eyebrow. "You bought 12 cinnamon candles the year before. They were on sale." Paula dipped a French fry in ketchup. "We're not putting you on trial, Helen. It sounds a little like a trial. Gloria would make a terrible prosecutor. She'd forget where she put the evidence." "I would know everybody's name, though," Gloria said. I smiled, but shame had settled beneath my ribs. It was easy to tell myself Adam had taken me for granted. Less comfortable was admitting how many other people I had treated as movable pieces in order to remain available to him. "Let me try again," I said. Gloria held out her hand. "We eat the first Thursday of every month, usually somewhere cheap enough that Paula won't steal the sugar packets. Those are complimentary. They are not meant to furnish your house. I have company. You live alone. So does Helen." They both looked at me. "First Thursday," I said. The Friday delivery did not come to my garage. Adam had to pay the furniture company to hold the dining set through the weekend, then take Monday morning off to receive it. I knew because Claire told me. She called while I was moving the framed wedding photograph from the hallway console to the bookcase in the living room. I had tried leaving it by the door, but each time I passed, I saw my own face turned away from Adam. "The delivery company charged us $120, she said. "I'm sorry. Are you?" "I'm sorry you were charged. But not sorry you said no. No." Claire was quiet. I put the picture on the second shelf beside a framed photograph of Tom standing in front of a rental cabin, holding a fish so small it looked embarrassed. Adam thinks you're trying to teach us a lesson. I'm not qualified to teach anyone anything. You know what I mean? I often do. She sighed. We're trying to figure out what normal looks like now. So am I. Normal used to be that we could depend on you. You still can. Not if you keep refusing everything. What have you needed? A place for the table. That's storage, Claire. I'm asking what you have needed from me as your family. She did not answer. I felt cruel the second the question left my mouth. Claire had lost her father years before I met her. Her mother's attention came in the form of correction. Perhaps chores were how she understood closeness, too. I'm not saying you can never ask me for help, I said more gently. I'm saying I don't want help to be the whole relationship. It isn't. When was the last time you called me without a task attached? That isn't fair. Probably not. She sounded close to tears when she said, I really did love having you involved in the wedding. I sat down on the arm of the couch. I loved being involved. Then why are you acting like it all meant nothing? Because I'm trying to understand why I was important until there weren't enough seats. Neither of us spoke. Finally, Claire said she had to go. Afterward, I moved the wedding photograph back to the console table. It was not forgiveness. I simply did not want the house arranged entirely around my anger. Adam was quiet for nearly 2 weeks. He reacted to one of my messages with a thumbs up and ignored another asking how work was going. When he finally called, his voice was cheerful in a way that made me cautious. What are you doing next Saturday? Why? See? That's new. What's new? You used to answer questions. You used to tell me why you were asking. He laughed once. Fair. Claire and I want you to come down for dinner. We thought you could see the new table that caused the collapse of Western civilization. Will I be required to apologize to it? Only if you sit too hard. I wanted to say yes before he finished asking. We settled on 6. I drove to Atlanta carrying a bottle of wine and nothing else. Halfway there, I worried I should have brought dessert. Then I worried that worrying about dessert was part of the problem. Claire answered the door in a green sweater and hugged me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. The new dining table was larger than I expected and far too dark for the room. I told Adam it looked nice. You hate it, he said. I did not say that. You said nice in your medical office voice. I have one voice. You have 7. Dad used to rank them. I looked at him. Adam's smile faded. Sorry, don't be. What was the worst one? Quiet, Helen. I don't have a quiet voice. Exactly. Claire brought out roast chicken and Adam made mashed potatoes with enough butter to make Uncle Ray claim medical necessity. They had cooked everything themselves. Nobody asked me to set the table, carve the chicken, or rescue the gravy. I noticed. I also noticed Claire noticing me notice. Dinner was awkward for the first 20 minutes, then gradually became dinner. We talked about work, a television show Adam insisted I would like, and whether the dining table needed a rug beneath it. It needs a smaller dining room, I said. Adam pointed at me. There she is, we laughed. I was helping Claire carry coffee into the living room when she said, we wanted to talk about Thanksgiving. My stomach tightened. She must have seen it. Not in a bad way, she added. What is a bad way to discuss Thanksgiving? My mother has found several. Marcy was hosting at her house outside Savannah. Claire's aunts would be there, along with relatives arriving from Tennessee, Florida, and North Carolina. We really want you to come, Claire said. Adam sat on the couch, leaning forward with his hands clasped. Everyone will be there, he said. Where would I stay? Claire and Adam exchanged a look. That was answer enough. There's a hotel about 10 minutes from Mom's house, Claire said. It's supposed to be nice. Why would I need a hotel? The guest rooms are already assigned. To whom? Family coming from farther away, Adam said. The rooms seemed to narrow. I looked at him. He heard it then. I saw the recognition move across his face, but instead of stopping, he tried to repair the sentence. I mean, people driving from Tennessee and North Carolina. I would be driving from farther than Florida. Not all of Florida. Adam, the rooms were promised before we knew what your plans were. No one asked my plans. That's what we're doing now. Claire sat in the chair opposite me. We'll pay for the room. I can pay for a hotel. That isn't the point, she said. No, it isn't. Adam rubbed his palms together. We thought it would be easier. You'd have your own bathroom, some privacy, and you wouldn't have to deal with Denise at breakfast. That is almost persuasive. He smiled hopefully. I did not. Thank you for inviting me, I said. I won't be coming. Claire's face fell. Because of the hotel? Because I don't want to spend Thanksgiving feeling like an extra guest at someone else's family gathering. You said you wanted to be included, Adam said. I do. This is us, including you. This is you offering me a nearby room after everyone else has a place in the house. People are flying in. And I'm your mother. His jaw tightened. Claire said, Helen, there are only so many beds. I understand. Then what should we do? Throw my aunt out? No. Enjoy Thanksgiving with her. I set down my coffee. Adam stood. So now you're not coming, and everyone gets to wonder why. There it was. Not whether I would be lonely, not whether he would miss me. What everyone would think. You can tell them I made other plans. Do you have other plans? Not yet. He stared at me as if I had confessed to something. You would rather be alone than stay in a hotel for one night? I would rather be alone than attend another family event where I am expected to pretend I don't know my place. Claire flinched. Adam looked toward the new dining table, the one they had paid extra to receive because I refused to give up my Friday. You're turning every decision into the shuttle, he said. No, I told him. The shuttle turned every decision into the truth. Adam gave a short, disbelieving laugh. The truth? Yes. What truth? That sometimes there isn't enough room for every person to get exactly what they want? That some people are always expected to make room. Claire stood and gathered our coffee cups even though they were still half full. This is going nowhere, she said. I watched her carry them toward the kitchen. Her shoulders had gone rigid. I didn't come here to fight, I told Adam. Neither did we. We invited you to dinner, and I came. We cooked. We tried to make you feel welcome. You did. Then Claire invites you to Thanksgiving, offers to pay for a hotel, and you act like we've insulted you. I said no. The way you say no is an accusation. That landed because there was some truth in it. I had spent so many years agreeing pleasantly that my refusal sounded aggressive even to me. I'm sorry it feels that way. You're not sorry. I can be sorry you're hurt without changing my answer. He shook his head. I don't even know who you are right now. I stood and picked up my purse. Claire returned from the kitchen. You don't have to leave, she said. I think I do. She glanced at Adam. Can we please not end the night like this? I wanted to stay. The chicken had been good. For half an hour, I had sat at their new table and believed we might be able to talk without making every sentence carry the wedding on its back. But Adam had turned toward the window, one hand at his hip, waiting for me to reverse myself. If you want me to come for Thanksgiving, I said to him, tell me why. He looked at me. What? Why do you want me there? Because you're my mother. That's a label. What do you want from the day? I want my family together. Will I be part of that family when the photographs are taken? When breakfast is served? When everyone else is talking late at night and I'm driving 10 minutes to a hotel? Claire crossed her arms. My family isn't excluding you by sleeping in bedrooms. No. But you already decided where everyone belongs before you remembered to ask me. We cannot rearrange an entire house to prove something to you. I'm not asking you to. Then come. No. Adam followed me to the front door. Mom, if you don't show up, everybody will know something is wrong. I put on my coat. Something is wrong. Do you want Marcy and the aunts asking Claire questions all day? Tell them I made other plans. You don't have other plans. Then tell them I chose not to come. That makes us look terrible. I looked at my son, and for 1 second he looked ashamed. Then he opened the door for me. Claire hugged me in the entryway. This time she held on longer than I expected. "I do want you there," she whispered. I believed her. "I know." Then why isn't that enough? I did not know how to answer without hurting her, so I kissed her cheek and left. Adam stood on the porch while I walked to my car. He did not offer to carry my purse, which was probably wise. He did not call after me either. The drive home took nearly 3 hours because of construction. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my anger had burned down into doubt. The hotel was only 10 minutes from Marcy's house. I would have had a private bathroom. I could afford the room. Claire had asked me herself, and Adam had cooked dinner in an effort to make peace. Perhaps I was turning beds and chairs into measures of love because love itself had become too difficult to measure. I sat in the parked car with the engine off. The house looked dark and larger than it was. When Tom was alive, Thanksgiving had been noisy from the moment he woke. He insisted on using every burner, even when nothing needed heating. He played old soul records and opened the oven every 7 minutes, then complained that the turkey took too long. The first Thanksgiving after he died, Adam had arrived before breakfast and stayed until midnight. The next year, he had divided the day between my house and Claire's. Last year, I had hosted Claire's mother and aunts, cooked for 11 adults, and spent most of dinner jumping up whenever Marcy discovered something missing. I had thought that was how families blended. Now I wondered whether I had simply made my house convenient. I went inside and called Diane. "Before you say anything," I told her, "I may be unreasonable." "Good. I've been unreasonable for decades. You'll need a mentor." I described the invitation, including the hotel. Diane listened without interrupting, which made me suspect she was eating. "Are you chewing?" "Maybe." "What are you eating?" "Your emergency cookies. Those are in my pantry. I have a key." "You're in my house?" "I'm in your dining room." I turned from the kitchen and found her sitting at the table with the cookie tin open. "How did I not see your car? I parked around the corner so you couldn't pretend you weren't home. That is what criminals do. Criminals don't bring soup." A container sat beside her purse. I took off my coat and sat across from her. "Tell me if I'm wrong." "You're not wrong for declining an invitation." "That isn't what I asked. You're asking whether they meant to hurt you." "I don't think they did." That surprised me. Diane took another cookie. "Claire probably thinks the hotel is a reasonable solution. Adam probably believes paying for it counts as effort. Intent isn't the whole question. What's the rest? Whether going would make you happy." I looked at the empty table. "No, then don't go. It's Thanksgiving." "Yes." "It occurs annually. Very hard to avoid. I'll be alone." "No, you won't." "Diane, I am not hijacking your holiday. My holiday was going to be frozen lasagna with a man named Lyle." I stared at her. "You're seeing someone?" I was considering it. He has opinions about golf and refers to his former wife as the plaintiff. I can reschedule. Please don't do that on my account. I'm doing it on his former wife's account. By the time Diane left, we had agreed on a small Thanksgiving dinner at my house. I would make turkey and potatoes. She would bring pie, preferably one made by someone else. At painting class, Paula asked whether I had plans for the holiday. "Dinner with Diane. 2 people is not dinner," she said. "That's an argument with side dishes." "What are you doing?" "Trying to decide whether microwaving turkey violates federal law." Her brother and his wife were traveling. Gloria had been invited to a distant cousin's house, but said she would rather spend the day helping at a community meal and join us afterward. The invitation came out before I could overthink it. "Come to my house." Paula looked at me. "For Thanksgiving? If you're free. Will there be real gravy?" "Yes." "Then I'm free." Gloria accepted too. Our dinner for 2 became dinner for 4 without fanfare. No one was replacing anyone. We were adults who had reached an age where holidays did not automatically arrange themselves around us, so we made an arrangement. I told Adam by text that I had plans and hoped they had a good Thanksgiving. He did not respond. Claire sent a heart. On Thanksgiving morning, I put on one of Tom's records and immediately had to turn it off. The first trumpet note filled the kitchen so completely that I could see him standing at the stove, waving a wooden spoon and insisting the turkey needed basting again. I opened the oven even though it did not. "Happy now?" I said. The turkey did not answer. Diane arrived wearing a rust-colored dress and carrying 2 bakery pies. "I passed them off as homemade to the woman in the parking lot," she said. Did she care? She seemed impressed. Paula brought sweet potatoes covered in marshmallows. Gloria brought green beans, wine, and a folding chair because she did not trust me to own enough furniture. "I have 6 dining chairs," I said. "You live alone." I had chairs before Tom died. Gloria set the folding chair against the wall. Death makes people do strange things. We ate at 3. I used Tom's carving knife, though I had to sharpen it first. Diane said the turkey was dry, then took a second helping. Paula's sweet potatoes could have been served as candy. Gloria told a story about accidentally getting into the wrong silver sedan at the grocery store and spending 5 minutes criticizing the owner's air freshener before noticing a strange man in the passenger seat. I laughed until my face hurt. My phone rang halfway through dessert. Adam. The table quieted when I answered. "Happy Thanksgiving," I said. "Happy Thanksgiving." Noise moved behind him. Voices, dishes, Marcy calling for someone to bring more ice. "How's your day?" I asked. "Fine. Busy. Did Aunt Denise get a room?" He ignored that. "What are you doing?" "Eating pie. With Diane and Paula and Gloria." "Right on cue," Diane said. "Tell him the turkey was dry." It was not dry. Adam went quiet. "You have people there?" "Yes." "I thought you said you didn't have plans." "I didn't. Then I made them." Claire's voice sounded nearby. Adam must have covered the phone because his next words were muffled. I looked around my table. 3 women were pretending not to watch me. "Adam, I'm here. Would you like to say hello to everyone?" "No. I just called to check on you. I'm fine. I can hear that." The sentence had an edge I did not understand until later. Claire came onto the phone and wished me a happy Thanksgiving. She sounded genuinely pleased that I was not alone. We spoke for a minute about the food, and she admitted Aunt Denise had complained about the guest room pillows. When Adam took the phone back, he said, "I'll call you later." He did not. After dinner, we cleared the table together. Paula wrapped leftovers. Gloria washed dishes despite my objections. Diane sat in Tom's chair and announced she had eaten enough to see through time. The house felt warm, not healed, not transformed, just occupied. That night, I sent Adam a photograph of the table after dinner. 4 empty plates, the pie cut unevenly, wine glasses catching the kitchen light. "Thank you for calling," I wrote. "I missed you." He read the message but did not answer. Nearly 2 weeks passed. On the first Thursday of December, I went to dinner with Paula and Gloria. Diane joined us and stole 3 sugar packets in Paula's honor. I came home after 9 to find a car parked across my driveway. Adam was sitting on my front steps. He stood when I approached. "What are you doing here?" "I've been waiting." "You could have called. I wanted to see whether you had plans." His voice was sharp. I unlocked the door and turned on the entryway light. He followed me inside, looked at the framed wedding photograph on the console, then toward the dining room. "You had a whole Thanksgiving here," he said. "I told you I did. With people you barely see." "I'm starting to see them more." He stared at me. "So that's it? You build a new life and make sure I hear all about it?" I set down my purse. "I didn't build it to hurt you. Then why does it feel like you're replacing me?" I looked at the grown man standing in my hallway, angry because I had finally stopped leaving every chair open for him. "That," I said, "is a question you should sit down before I answer." Adam did not sit. He walked into the dining room, looked at the bowl of apples in the center of the table, then opened the refrigerator as if evidence of my betrayal might be stored inside. "There's pie left," I said. "I don't want pie. You came into my kitchen. I assumed you wanted something. I want to understand what you're doing." I took off my coat and hung it over a chair. I went to dinner. You know what I mean. Yes, I usually do. He closed the refrigerator harder than necessary. Can you stop saying that? What would you prefer? I'd prefer my mother. I stared at him. He looked tired. His tie was loosened and one side of his shirt had come untucked. He must have driven up after work and sat on my cold front steps because anger had seemed more reasonable to him than calling. I'm right here, I said. No, you're not. You're going to classes. You're having dinners. You hosted Thanksgiving with 3 women you barely spoke to 6 months ago. I spoke to Diane. You know what I mean? I raised one eyebrow. He dropped into a chair. Fine. I hear it now. I sat across from him. The table between us had held birthday cakes, homework, bills, Tom's elbows, Adam's college applications, Claire's wedding supplies, and 4 plates on Thanksgiving. It had never seemed capable of taking sides until that night. I sent you the picture because I missed you, I said. You sent it while I was at Claire's mother's house. I sent it after everyone left. You knew how it would look. How did it look? Like you had a better time without us. I had a good time. That doesn't mean it was better. You were laughing when I called. Was I supposed to sound lonely? He looked away. There it was. Not cruelty. Expectation. He had imagined me sitting alone, and part of him had needed that image to prove my refusal was hurting me more than it hurt him. I didn't want you to be miserable, he said. You wanted me to regret saying no. That is not the same thing. It's a close relative. He rubbed his forehead. Everybody asked about you. Marcy asked. Denise asked. Claire kept explaining the hotel situation. What did you say? I said you made other plans. That was true. It sounded like an excuse. Only because you thought I should have come. You should have. Why? Because we're family. The word hung there. I folded my hands on the table. Who is we? Oh, come on, you said everybody asked. You were surrounded by Claire's family in Claire's mother's house, while your mother was 10 minutes away on paper and 4 hours away in reality. Where was your family? You chose not to be there. I did. And now you're blaming me for it. No. I'm asking why my choice feels like abandonment to you, when your choices are always supposed to feel practical to me. He stood again. Adam had been a pacer since he was old enough to have arguments. Tom used to say the boy needed a track painted around every room. I didn't come here to debate language, he said. You came here because I ate turkey with other people. I came because you're cutting us out. How? You refused the furniture delivery. I had plans. You left the wedding brunch. I had been left out of the wedding. You refused Thanksgiving. I did not want to go. You've turned everything into a test. No. I stopped taking the test. He stared at me. For months, I had tried to find the right gentle sentence, one soft enough that Adam could hear it without feeling attacked. Sitting across from him, I understood that softness was part of what had kept us stuck. Every time I wrapped the truth for his comfort, he mistook the wrapping for the truth itself. I love you, I said, but I don't want a relationship where I am invited for my work and remembered after the beds and seats are assigned. That's dramatic. It's accurate. We invited you to dinner, and I came. I appreciated it. You acted like the table was contaminated. I told you it looked nice. You hated it. It's too dark for the room. He looked offended, then made the smallest choking sound. I laughed. He tried not to. For one brief second, the argument loosened. Then his expression settled again. Claire thinks you hate her. I don't. She thinks nothing she does will be enough. She apologized and defended herself in the same breath. So she didn't apologize correctly. This isn't about technique. It sounds like technique. She said, I wasn't family, Adam. She didn't mean it literally. I know. Then why do you keep repeating it? Because you hurt her. His face went still. There it was, the center of it. He sat down slowly. I could hear the refrigerator humming and a car passing outside. Somewhere in the house, the heat came on with a metal rattle Tom had promised to fix 4 winters earlier. "Where were you when she said it?" I asked. Adam looked at the table. "You know where I was." "Tell me." "On the shuttle." "And what did you do?" His jaw moved. "I told you the next one was coming. You let the door close." "What did you want me to do, Mom? Get off?" "Yes." The answer surprised him. It surprised me too, but once it was spoken, I did not take it back. "I wanted you to say, 'My mother is part of this family.' I wanted you to make room. And if there truly was no room, I wanted you to wait with me. I would have missed photographs. I missed your wedding. I couldn't have known the shuttle would be delayed. You knew I would arrive alone. People were waiting. Claire was panicking. The driver was trying to leave. And I was outside. I saw you." His voice broke slightly on the last word. I stopped breathing for a moment. Adam pressed both palms flat against the table. "I saw you, okay? I saw your face. Then why didn't you move?" He shook his head. "I thought it would be 20 minutes. "That isn't why. How do you know?" "Because I raised you." He pushed back from the table again, but this time he did not stand. "Claire was already upset," he said. "So was I. She was about to get married. I was about to watch my son get married. Her mother had been on her all morning. Denise was threatening to leave. The coordinator was in my ear. If I'd gotten off that shuttle, Claire would have thought I was taking your side against her in front of everybody." "What side?" He looked at me. "That's the question, Adam. Why did there have to be sides?" "I don't know. Yes, you do." He covered his face with both hands. When he spoke, his voice was muffled. "Because you would forgive me." I did not move. He lowered his hands. "Claire would remember it forever if I embarrassed her on our wedding day. Marcy would turn it into a whole thing. Everybody would be talking about it, but you—" He stopped. "But I what?" "You're my mom." "That is not an answer. You've always been okay." I leaned back. "No, Adam. I have always made sure you were okay." His eyes filled. He blinked hard and looked toward the hallway, where the framed dance photograph sat under the lamp. "After Dad died, you kept saying you were fine. You were grieving. So were you." "I know. You wouldn't let me help with anything. You organized the funeral. You handled the house. You called me to remind me to eat. I was your mother, and I was your son." The words struck somewhere I had not protected. We sat in silence. I had spent 3 years quietly resenting how easily Adam accepted my strength. I had not considered how aggressively I had performed it. Every time he asked how I was, I said fine. Every time he offered to come, I told him I had it handled. I had taught him that loving me meant believing me when I claimed I needed nothing. "That was unfair," I said. He looked up. "I should have let you see more of it. This isn't all my fault." "I didn't say it was. It feels like you're saying, I've been a terrible son. I'm saying you made a terrible choice. At the wedding. At the wedding and afterward, every time you asked me to treat it like a scheduling problem." He leaned back and stared at the ceiling. "So what happens now?" The question frightened me because I had no finished answer. "I want a relationship with you," I said. "I want to see you. I want to hear about your work and your terrible furniture and what you had for lunch. The table is not terrible. It's too dark. Mom. But I don't want to be the person you call only when you need a delivery accepted, a holiday hosted, or your wife reassured. I won't do errands to prove I'm still family. I won't absorb whatever hurts me because I'm easier than everyone else. So I have to make an appointment to see my own mother? No, you have to show up when you don't need something." He looked around the room. "I showed up tonight. You came because you were angry. At least I came." "Yes." That softened him for a moment. Then he asked, "What about Claire? What about her? You can't have a relationship with me that excludes my wife. I don't want to." "But you won't forgive her." "I haven't said that. You keep refusing to tell her what fixes this, because she wants instructions that will make the discomfort stop. I don't have those. What do you expect us to do? Feel guilty forever? No. I expect you to behave differently long enough that I can believe the wedding was a failure of judgment instead of an accurate description of my place." Adam stood. He looked older than he had when he arrived. "I don't know how to do this with you," he said. "Neither do I. That's not very comforting. I'm trying to stop lying for comfort." He walked into the hallway and put on his coat. For 1 second, I thought he might take the wedding photograph down or turn it face down. Instead, he straightened it. At the door, he said, "I do call when I don't need something. Sometimes. I love you. I love you too." He left. I did not follow him to the driveway. The next morning, Claire called before 8. "What did you say to Adam?" Her voice was tight and exhausted. The truth. He barely spoke the whole drive home. He drove 3 hours to confront me. He may have been tired. What happened? "That's a conversation to have with your husband. I'm trying. He says he doesn't know what to think. I can't tell him." "No, but you can tell me what you said." I carried my coffee into the dining room and sat in the chair where Adam had been. He admitted he stayed on the shuttle because disappointing me felt safer than upsetting you. Claire went silent. I could hear her breathing. "That's not fair," she said. "I didn't say it was your fault. You're making me the reason he hurt you. He made his own choice. But now I'm supposed to live with him resenting me for it? I don't know what Adam feels. You know him better than anybody." There it was, another task dressed as intimacy. "Talk to your husband, Claire. Helen, I mean it. I am not going to explain Adam to you, explain you to Adam, and then explain both of you to yourselves. Whatever is happening in your marriage belongs between the two of you. That's easy for you to say." "No," I said. "It's just new for me to say it." She ended the call without goodbye. Christmas cards began arriving that afternoon. I stood at the kitchen counter opening envelopes from people I saw once a year. Smiling couples, dogs in sweaters, typed letters describing vacations, and remodeled kitchens. No message came from Adam. For the first time since he was born, December arrived without me knowing where my son would spend Christmas. I had asked for a relationship in which I was no longer useful enough to be guaranteed a place. Now I had to discover whether he would choose me when usefulness was gone. I waited 3 days before calling him, not because I wanted to make him suffer. I told myself I was giving him space, which was partly true. Mostly, I was afraid he would answer in the same flat voice he had used at my door and confirm that honesty had not brought us closer. It had only removed the polite version of our distance. He answered on the 4th ring. "Hi, Mom. Hi." We both waited. I had never needed a reason to call my son before. I had called him to report weather he could see through his own windows. "I'm looking at Christmas dates," I said. "Okay. What are your plans?" He hesitated. "We're going to Marcy's on Christmas Eve, staying through the 26th. "The 26th? Denise is doing brunch." "Of course she is." He almost laughed. I picked at a loose thread on my sleeve. "I'd like to see you." Another pause. "I thought you didn't want to do family holidays. I didn't want to go to Thanksgiving." "Is there a difference?" "Yes." "Claire thinks you'll be uncomfortable at Marcy's. She's probably right. So what do you want us to do?" The question sounded defensive, but it was still a question. "Could we have lunch before you leave? We can probably do the 23rd. "Probably?" "I need to check with Claire." "All right." He exhaled. "I'm not asking permission. I didn't say you were. You said it like you thought I was." I said, "All right. This is what I mean. Every sentence has something underneath it now. Maybe it always did." Neither of us knew what to do with that. He said he would call after speaking with Claire. He did not say he loved me before hanging up. That evening, a florist delivered a vase of white lilies and winter greenery. The card read, "Thinking of you. Love, Adam and Claire." The lilies were beautiful. They were also the same flowers used in the hotel lobby during the wedding. I put them on the kitchen counter anyway. Diane came by the next morning and inspected them. Funeral flowers. They're lilies. Exactly. They were expensive. Guilt often is. I handed her the card. She read it, then surprised me by placing it carefully beside the vase. "At least they're thinking," she said. "You've become alarmingly reasonable. I'm trying it until New Year's." Adam confirmed lunch for the 23rd at a restaurant halfway between our houses. It was one of those places decorated to look like a farmhouse, despite being attached to a shopping center. Metal buckets hung from the ceiling. The menus were clipped to pieces of wood. I arrived first. Adam came in 10 minutes late carrying a paper shopping bag. "Traffic," he said. "There is no traffic in this parking lot. I had to buy tape." "Were you wrapping gifts while driving?" "Only at lights." He kissed my cheek and sat down. For the first 15 minutes, we talked about nothing difficult. The restaurant had served him the wrong beer. My painting class was taking a break until January. Diane had ended things with Lyle after he referred to waitresses as the help. "She was dating someone?" Adam asked. "Considering." "Why didn't you tell me?" "It wasn't my news. You used to tell me everything." "No, I told you everything about other people." He smiled faintly. The waitress brought our food. Adam had ordered a burger so tall he had to remove half of it before he could take a bite. "How's Claire?" I asked. "She's fine." That was convincing. "She's stressed." "About Christmas." "About us." I set down my fork. "Do you want to talk about it?" He looked at me, and I saw the impulse to say yes. Then he shook his head. "No, you said it belongs between us." "That doesn't mean I don't care. I know." The answer was quiet. We ate for a while. Then Adam said, "We have a flight on the 27th. "A flight where?" "Denver. Ben's getting married." "Again?" "That was Walter with 3 wives. Too many wedding people." He laughed. "Our flight's at 6 in the morning," he continued. "Parking is going to cost a fortune for 5 days." I looked at him. He stopped chewing. "What? You invited me to lunch." "Yes. And now you need a ride to the airport." His face closed. "That is not why I invited you. But you were going to ask. I thought maybe you could stay at our place the night before, drive us in the morning, then take my car back. Your flight is at 6. We'd leave around 3:30. I know how clocks work. Forget it." He dropped his napkin beside his plate. "Adam." "No. Forget I asked." "You didn't ask yet." "I was about to, and now apparently that proves your whole theory. It proves you still think time with me should lead to a service. That is such a cold way to describe helping your son. Then why didn't you call and ask directly? Because we already had lunch planned." "Exactly." He pushed his chair back an inch. I could feel the other diners around us without seeing them. A spoon struck a plate. Someone laughed near the bar. Christmas music played too quietly to identify. "I don't want to fight," I said. "Then don't turn every favor into evidence. I'm trying to explain what it feels like from my side, and I'm telling you you're wrong." "Those aren't the same conversation." He looked toward the window. After a moment, I asked, "Did you bring me here because you needed a ride?" "No. Would we be sitting here if you didn't?" "Yes." He answered quickly enough that I believed him. "Then I'm glad we're here. But you won't drive us." "No." His mouth tightened. "Why?" "Because I don't want to start the day after Christmas at 2:30 in the morning." "That's fair," he said. Though his voice suggested fairness had personally disappointed him. We finished lunch. The paper shopping bag held my Christmas gift, a wooden case filled with brushes, tubes of paint, palette knives, and little bottles of things whose purposes I did not understand. The woman at the art store said it was a good beginner set, Adam told me. Then she showed me one that cost $800, so I left before she could insult me further. I ran my fingers over the brushes. "You remembered. You sent me that picture of the red potato. It was an apple. It was not." I laughed. My gift to him was a first pressing of one of Tom's favorite records. I had found it in a used music shop and nearly kept it for myself. Adam read the cover and went still. Dad played this every Christmas, until I threatened to break it. He'd started at 7 in the morning, 6:45. Adam held the record carefully by the edges. "Thank you." The cufflinks remained in my dresser at home. I had considered bringing them. Before leaving, I even took the velvet case from the drawer and placed it beside my purse. Then I put it back. They belonged to a moment that had not happened. I was not ready to let Adam carry them as if it had. In the parking lot, he hugged me longer than usual. "Merry Christmas, Mom. Merry Christmas. We'll call. I know. He stepped back. And I'll figure out the airport. I know that too. On Christmas morning, I woke before dawn and reached for Tom's side of the bed. It had been 3 years, but my hand still knew where he should have been. I made coffee, plugged in the small tree beside the living room window, and opened Adam's paints again. The case smelled like wood and linseed oil. I arranged the brushes by size because some instincts were not worth fighting. Diane came at noon. Paula and Gloria arrived later, carrying wine and a chocolate cake with "Merry Birthday" written across it. It was half price, Paula explained. Whose birthday? Jesus, broadly. Gloria shook her head. She argued with the bakery clerk. The clerk said they couldn't change it because the decorator had gone home. You could have bought another cake. This one was half price. We ate roast beef instead of turkey and watched an old musical that Diane claimed to hate while singing every song. I had a good day. I also checked my phone 11 times before Adam called. It was after 7. Voices filled the background at Marcy's house. Someone was playing a piano badly. "Merry Christmas," he said. "Merry Christmas. Did you open the paints?" 3 times. Have you used them? I'm waiting until I understand the bottles. Read the instructions. I raised you without instructions. Look how that turned out. He laughed. The sound hurt more than silence would have. Claire came onto the phone. She thanked me for the candle I had sent and said she was sorry we were not together. Behind her, Marcy called her name twice. "I have to go," Claire said. "Go. We love you. I love you too." Adam returned to the line. "I'll call tomorrow." "You don't have to." "I know." He did not call the next day. He sent a picture from Denise's brunch instead. A long table crowded with glasses and flowers. Everyone leaned toward the camera. Adam sat at one end beside Claire. There was no empty chair. I spent the afternoon with Diane and did not mention it. On the 27th, Adam texted at 3:20 in the morning. "Found a ride. Hope you're sleeping." I was. I saw it at 7 and wrote, "Have a good trip." When January came, I expected the familiar quiet that follows the holidays. Instead, Adam called on a Wednesday evening to tell me the television show he had recommended was being canceled. "I haven't watched it yet," I said. "You had 3 months. I was busy building a new life to replace you." There was a pause. Then he laughed. "I deserve that." Yes. He did not need anything. We spoke for 4 minutes. The following Sunday, he called to ask whether my class had resumed. I told him I had painted a glass bottle that Diane believed looked like a penguin. "Send me a picture? Why? So I can judge you." I sent it. He responded with a penguin emoji. Again, he asked for nothing. The calls did not fix us. Sometimes days passed. Sometimes he sounded guarded. And sometimes I answered too carefully. Claire's name came up less than it should have, which worried me. But Adam was trying in a language small enough for both of us to speak. Near the end of January, he called while I was scraping dried paint from the dining table. "I'm going to be near your house Saturday," he said. "For what? Work thing in the morning." "All right. Would you want to get coffee?" "What do you need?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. He was silent. I closed my eyes. "Adam?" "Nothing," he said. "I don't need anything. I'm sorry." "No, you had a reason to ask?" His voice was sad, not angry. "I'd like coffee," I said. "Okay, come here, I'll make it." "Are you sure?" "Yes." He hesitated. Then he said, "I'm trying to show up, Mom." I looked at the red and blue paint dried into the scratches of the table. "I know," I said. "I'm trying to let you." Adam knocked at 10:17 on Saturday morning. I knew it was him because he used the doorbell first, waited, then knocked twice with the side of his fist, the way he had since he was old enough to reach the door. "You still have a key," I said when I opened it. "You said adults should show up." I think that was Claire. I'm trying not to blame her for every inconvenient rule in my life. He held up a white bakery box and a cardboard tray with 2 coffees. I brought supplies. "What do you need?" His mouth tilted. Very funny. I wasn't joking. "I know." He stepped inside and handed me one of the coffees. I looked at the label. "Oat milk? You complain about regular milk now. I have never complained about milk. You said it makes your stomach feel crowded. That is an observation, not a complaint. Medical office voice. I took the cup. The framed wedding photograph was still on the console table. Adam noticed it before taking off his coat. You kept that out. It's a nice picture. You hated it. I hated why I needed it. He looked at the photograph for a moment, then followed me into the kitchen. The bakery box contained 2 cinnamon rolls, an almond croissant, and a blueberry scone. Are more people coming? I asked. I panicked at the counter. You bought 4 pastries? There were people behind me. Decisions had to be made. Your father once bought 6 pounds of ham because the deli clerk looked impatient. I remember. We ate ham for a month. He tried putting it in spaghetti. Adam opened the box and took the almond croissant. I miss him, he said. There was no warning before the words, no careful pause. I do too. We sat at the dining table. A blue streak of paint crossed one corner where I had failed to put down enough newspaper. Adam rubbed it with his thumb. You stained the table. I'm expressing tension. You're expressing property damage. It has more character now. Is that what we're calling it? Yes. He smiled and drank his coffee. For a while, we talked about his work. His company had reorganized 2 departments, and he had been given a new supervisor who used the phrase circle back so often Adam had begun keeping count. 32 times in one meeting, he said. How long was the meeting? 40 minutes. That's almost impressive. Ben says I should yell the number every time, like bingo. You should not take professional advice from a man who scheduled a wedding 2 days after Christmas. He got a discount. Of course he did. The easy conversation felt good. It also made me nervous. I kept waiting for the other reason he had come. A package to receive, a lamp to return, a form he needed me to find among Tom's papers. Adam finished half his croissant and set it down. I was angry you had people here for Thanksgiving. I noticed. I shouldn't have been. I waited. He picked flakes of pastry from his napkin. When you said you might be alone, I pictured you alone. Then when you weren't... He shook his head. This is going to sound bad. Most honest things do at first. It felt like you didn't need me. I looked at him. You weren't coming either way. I know. You wanted me to need you while you were somewhere else? I told you it would sound bad. It sounds human. He looked up. That doesn't make it fair, I added. No. He leaned back in the chair. After Dad died, I kept thinking you would fall apart. Not because you were weak, because he was everywhere in this house. Every time I came here, I expected to find you sitting in the dark or something. I did that occasionally. You never let me see it. You came twice a week for 6 months, and every time the house was clean. There was food in the refrigerator. You'd ask whether I needed leftovers. I needed something to do. I thought you didn't need me. I did. He ran one hand through his hair. Then Claire came along, and the wedding happened, and you were busy all the time. You seemed excited. I was. I thought helping was making you happy. It did sometimes. So when the shuttle thing happened, I told myself you'd understand, because you understood everything. Then when you didn't, I got angry. Because I had changed the rules. Because I realized I didn't know the rules. There were no rules, Adam. There were. We just never said them out loud. He pushed the plate away. I call, you help. You host, I come. I need something. You make it easier. Then I tell everyone I have the best mother in the world. That isn't all we were, no. But it was enough of what we were that I didn't notice. I held my coffee between both hands. The cup had gone lukewarm. What happened on the shuttle? I asked. His eyes dropped to the table. You know, I know what I saw. He took a breath. Claire was standing at the door. Marcy had already taken one seat, and Denise took the other. The driver said we had to leave. You were right there. Yes. I thought about getting off. The admission hurt in a new way. It meant the choice had not happened too quickly for him to understand it. What stopped you? I looked at Claire. He rubbed his thumb over the blue paint. She had spent the whole morning trying not to cry. Her mother was criticizing everything. One of her cousins had disappeared. The coordinator kept telling her we were late. I knew if I got off, she'd think I was choosing you over her. You could have said there was no choice. I know. Do you? Yes. His voice sharpened, then softened again. I knew if I stayed, you'd be hurt. I knew if I got off, Claire would be furious. I chose the person I thought would forgive me. The easier person to hurt, yes. He did not add but. He did not mention the schedule, the driver, the photographs, the ceremony, or Marcy. Just, yes. I'm sorry, he said. Not because you're still upset. Not because Thanksgiving was awkward. I'm sorry I saw you standing there and decided your pain would be cheaper. I looked toward the living room. Tom's chair was visible through the doorway, one arm worn smooth where he used to rest his hand. On the bookcase, the photograph with the tiny fish leaned slightly to the left. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I'm still angry. I know. I love you. I know that, too. He waited. The silence did not demand that I rescue him. That was new. Finally, I said, "Thank you for telling me." He nodded. It was not forgiveness. It was not nothing. Adam picked up his coffee again. Claire and I have been fighting. I almost asked why. Then I remembered my promise to stay out of their marriage. I'm sorry. She thinks I'm rewriting the wedding because you're upset. Are you? I don't know. Maybe. That sounds like something to discuss with her. He gave me a tired smile. You really mean it about not mediating. I'm retired. From medicine, from everything. He looked at the remaining pastries. She thinks I blame her. Do you? Sometimes. Then tell her when and why. I have. And she says, I was on the shuttle too. She's right. I know. That was the contradiction Adam had to live with. Claire had said the words and blocked the door, but he had made the decision that wounded me most. Making her the villain would let him escape the harder truth. What do you want from her? I asked. He thought for a moment. I want her to stop explaining. I understood. We finished the coffee. Before he left, Adam carried the empty cups to the trash and wiped crumbs from the table without being asked. In the hallway, he opened the coat closet instead of the front door. Where's my old green jacket? You left it here 8 years ago. I know. Is it still here? Garage. He followed me through the laundry room. The garage held the 4 wedding gifts, his suitcases, the unwanted lamp, and a collection of other objects he had left because my house had always seemed permanent, enough to store every undecided part of his life. He stared at the stack. I didn't realize there was this much. There was more. You took the wedding boxes. Why didn't you tell me to get it? I did, several times. No, you said, whenever you have a chance. That means get it. That means never. It does not. It absolutely does. I looked at the boxes. He was right. Fine, I should have said it clearly. He picked up the lamp. I'll take this today. You don't have room for everything. I can come back. Only if you need something. He glanced at me. I need my mother to stop making that joke. Then yes, you should come back. He smiled. Adam loaded the lamp and 2 wedding gifts into his car. He found the green jacket in a plastic bin and put it on, though the sleeves were too short. You bought this when I was in college, he said. It looked better then. So did I. You had hair. He hugged me beside the car. I'll call, he said. All right. And I don't need anything next week. We'll see. He came back the following Saturday and took the suitcases and remaining gifts. He brought soup from a restaurant near his office and stayed for an hour. The week after that, he called to ask what I thought of a paint color Claire had chosen for their bedroom. Are you sure you want my opinion? I asked. No, but she does. Put her on the phone. Claire did not come on. Adam said she had walked into another room. Her absence grew more noticeable as Adam and I became less careful with each other. He called. He visited twice. We met Paula and Gloria for dinner. and Adam endured an hour of Gloria telling him embarrassing stories from the medical practice. Claire sent pleasant messages but declined every invitation. She had become the one standing outside, and I did not enjoy it. I texted her in February, "I'd like to see you, just us, if you're comfortable." She responded 6 hours later, "Yes." We agreed she would come to my house on Sunday afternoon. I prepared coffee, then deliberately did not bake anything. I did not want hospitality to become another place for us to hide. Claire arrived 5 minutes early wearing jeans and a black sweater. She carried no flowers, no bakery box, and no task. She stood inside my doorway with her hands empty. "I don't know how to apologize without explaining myself," she said. I stepped aside to let her in. "Try," I told her. Claire walked past me and stopped in the hallway. Her eyes went directly to the wedding photograph on the console table. She stared at it long enough that I wondered whether she had seen that particular image before. "He looks happy," she said. "He was. You don't." I was dancing. "That isn't what I meant. I know." She followed me into the living room. I had arranged 2 chairs near the coffee table, then moved them back twice because the original placement looked too much like an interview. Claire sat on the couch instead. I took Tom's chair across from her. For several seconds, she looked down at her hands. Her wedding ring caught the afternoon light. "I knew what I was saying," she began. I had expected regret, context, and perhaps a new description of the transportation problem. Her bluntness took me by surprise. "At the hotel?" I asked. "Yes." She looked up. I've told myself I didn't. I've told Adam I was using family to mean the people scheduled for the first photographs. I've said the driver was rushing me, and my mother was in my ear, and Denise had already threatened to leave twice. All of that was true. It was. It's also true that you told me you were supposed to be in the pictures, and I wanted you to stop making the moment harder. So you said family. Yes. Why? Her mouth tightened. Because I knew it would end the argument. It had. Even now, hearing her admit that she had understood the power of the word made my chest ache. Claire's eyes filled, but she did not look away. "I knew it would put you in your place," she said. I hate saying that, but it's true. I rested my hands on the arms of the chair. What place was that? The person who would give way, not Adam's mother. I wasn't thinking about Adam. He was sitting 6 feet behind you. I know. No. I mean, you weren't thinking about what missing his wedding would do to me. You were thinking about making the people on that shuttle happy. Yes. Her voice was barely audible. I wanted to ask why I had not been one of those people. The question felt too much like begging for a rank on a list I claimed not to accept. Claire wiped beneath one eye. "My mother's family does this," she said. "Everything is about who gets first consideration, who sits closest to the front, who stays in the house, who gets invited early enough to believe the invitation matters. The hotel at Thanksgiving." She winced. "Yes. You knew." I knew by then. "Then why did you do it again?" "Because I thought if I offered a nice enough room and paid for it, the arrangement wouldn't mean the same thing. It meant exactly the same thing." "I know." I studied her face. Claire had always seemed polished to me, even when she was tired. Her hair usually obeyed. Her clothes matched without appearing matched. That afternoon, she looked as though she had slept poorly and dressed without consulting anyone. "What do you want from this conversation?" I asked. "I want to apologize." "You said that." "No," I said I didn't know how. She drew a slow breath. "I'm sorry I told you family came first when you were Adam's only parent standing there. I'm sorry I saw the schedule, changed it, and assumed you would take whatever was left. I'm sorry I let you miss the ceremony, then asked you to pose in photographs so I wouldn't have to look at the consequence. And I'm sorry every time you tried to talk about it, I explained myself instead of hearing you. I waited for the escape route. It did not come." Claire pressed her fingers together. "I am not asking you to tell me it's okay," she said. "It wasn't. There were words people offered because they wanted forgiveness, and words people offered because they had finally become willing to tell the truth. I was beginning to learn the difference. "Thank you," I said. She nodded, then looked toward the kitchen. "Adam thinks I'm responsible for all of it." "Is that what he said?" "Not exactly." "Then what did he say?" "He said he's angry with me for putting him in that position." "You did, I know. But I didn't make him stay seated." "No. He keeps talking about how he should have gotten off as if I held him down. Have you told him that?" "Yes, and he said he knows." I almost smiled. Adam has been saying that more often. It's extremely irritating. That may be my influence. Claire gave a small laugh, then covered her mouth as if laughter were inappropriate. "It's all right," I said. "No, it isn't. Not everything has to be terrible at the same time." She lowered her hand. "We had a bad fight after he came here in December," she said. "He said he had used you to keep peace between us. Every time I wanted something and you wanted something else, he told me you wouldn't mind. He often told me you were under pressure. He made each of us sound easier to the other. That sounds like Adam. We both let him. That surprised me." Claire leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "I liked being told you wouldn't mind. It meant I didn't have to ask. I could tell myself you enjoyed doing everything because you were so good at it. I did enjoy some of it." "Would you have assembled 84 welcome bags if I weren't marrying Adam?" "Certainly not." "Would you have skipped your class?" I looked at the blue paint dried into the table. "I made that choice." "Yes, you did. But I kept asking because I knew you would. I kept saying yes because it made me feel necessary." The admission was easier with Claire than it had been with Adam, perhaps because she had not known me all my life. I did not have to defend every version of myself at once. "After Tom died, being needed helped," I said. "There were whole days when I did not know where to put my hands. Then you had lists and errands and 84 bags, 76 after couples shared." I stared at her. "Sorry," she said. "No, you're right." We both laughed. The laughter faded, but the room felt different afterward. "I don't want you to think none of it mattered," Claire said. "I did love being here with you. I loved that you knew how to fix things. My mother's way of helping is to explain what you did wrong before she corrects it. Your mother once rearranged my napkins while I was setting the table. She rearranges her own napkins. That is somehow worse." Claire smiled. "I thought you were the kind of mother who made things safe," she said. "And then I treated you like safety meant I could do anything without losing you. You didn't lose me. Not completely. No." She looked down again. "I don't know what happens now, neither do I. Can I call you?" "Yes." Without needing something. That would be a refreshing novelty. She accepted the joke without flinching. I brought coffee into the living room. Claire offered to help, and I told her to stay seated. Then I worried that telling her to stay seated was another way of turning service into control. I carried both cups anyway. She noticed the paint on my sleeve. "What color is that?" "Supposedly ultramarine. It looks purple. Don't tell Diane. She'll make it a moral issue." Claire asked to see my paintings. I showed her the apple first. She stared at it. "It's an apple," I said. "I know," you hesitated. "I was admiring the shape. It is round, broadly. It is not a potato." "I didn't say potato." "Your face did." She laughed into her coffee. When she left, she hugged me at the door. It was not the stiff embrace from dinner and not the desperate one from the hotel lobby. She held me, then released me without asking for anything in return. "I'm sorry," she said once more. "I heard you." She drove away. I closed the door and stood beneath the framed wedding photograph. Forgiveness did not arrive like a door opening. It felt more like realizing I had been clenching my hand and allowing one finger to relax. Claire called the following Wednesday to ask whether my painting instructor had confirmed that the apple was an apple. He said interpretation is personal. So no, you're becoming less welcome. She called again the next week to tell me Marcy had volunteered her to organize Denise's anniversary dinner. "What did you say?" I asked. "No." "How did that go?" My mother asked what happened to me. What did you tell her? That I'm trying to notice when people assume the most flexible woman will do all the work. I nearly dropped the phone. Did you tell her where you learned that? I'm not suicidal. Our conversations remained cautious, but they stopped being ceremonial. Claire told me when she and Adam were arguing. I listened without translating him for her. When she asked what I thought he meant, I said, "Ask him." She groaned but did. Once she invited me to an art market in Atlanta. I had plans with Paula and declined. "All right," she said, "another time." She did not become cold. She did not call Adam and ask him to convince me. A week later, she sent a photograph of a ceramic bowl so ugly it seemed to have been made as a threat. "Thought of your paintings," she wrote. I replied, "You are no longer forgiven." She sent a laughing face. Adam came by on a rainy afternoon in March. He brought no pastries and needed no storage space. We drank coffee while he inspected my latest painting, which was supposed to show reflections on a pond. "Why is the water orange?" he asked. "Sunset. It looks flammable. Your bedroom is beige." Claire picked it. "I know." She asked my opinion. "She did?" "She did." He smiled at that. When he was preparing to leave, I asked him to wait. The velvet case was still in the top drawer of my dresser beneath 2 scarves. I carried it back to the living room and held it out. Adam did not take it immediately. "What is it? Open it." He lifted the lid. Tom's cufflinks lay against the cream satin. Adam's expression changed before he touched them. "These were Dad's. Yes, he wore them at your wedding. He claimed one was defective. He said his wrist was defective. That was later." Adam lifted one cufflink between his fingers. "Why are you giving me these?" "I intended to give them to you before the ceremony." His hand went still. "At the hotel? At the mill?" "I tried during the rehearsal, but Claire called you away. Then I had them in my purse at the wedding." He stared at the silver ovals. "I didn't know." "No." "Why didn't you give them to me at the reception? It didn't feel right." His eyes filled. "I'm sorry. I know." He closed the case, but did not take it from my hand. "Do you want me to have them now?" "I do." "Are you sure?" "Yes." He finally accepted the case. "They were always yours, Adam. Keeping them would not give me that moment back." He pressed his lips together and looked toward the window. "I don't deserve them. They're not a prize for good behavior." That sounds like something Dad would say. "Your father gave you his socket wrench after you used it to break the washing machine. I was trying to fix it. You removed a part that was supposed to remain attached. It looked optional." Adam laughed through his tears. He put the velvet case carefully inside his coat pocket. At the front door, he hugged me. Not cautiously. Not like I might break. "I love you, Mom. I love you too." He left with Tom's cufflinks. That evening, Claire called. Adam told me. I assumed he would. He's been walking around the house holding the box. He gets that from Tom. Your father-in-law could make sentimentality look like a mechanical problem. Claire was quiet for a moment. "Would you come to dinner next Sunday? At your house?" "Yes." "Who else will be there?" "No one." "What should I bring?" "Nothing. I can bring dessert." "We have dessert." "Salad?" "Helen." "What?" "Come because we want to see you." I stood in the dining room beside the table marked by paint and years of use. "All right," I said. "I'll come." On Sunday afternoon, I stood in my kitchen staring at a lemon tart. I had bought it the day before without meaning to. I went into the bakery for bread, saw the tart behind the glass, and heard my own voice say, "That one, please," before the more evolved version of myself could intervene. Claire had told me not to bring anything. The tart sat in its white box, tied with string. I called Diane. "This is not an emergency," she said by way of greeting. "How do you know? You only call this early when you're trying to make an ordinary decision feel medical. I bought dessert." "Congratulations. They told me not to bring anything." "Then don't. It will go to waste." "I'll eat it." "That wasn't an invitation. Your problem has a solution. I leaned against the counter. What if their dessert is bad? Eat it. What if there isn't enough? Experience scarcity. You're enjoying this, more than you can imagine. I looked at the tart. For most of my adult life, bringing food had been how I entered a room. A casserole meant I had anticipated hunger. A pie meant I had thought ahead. An extra salad meant nobody could accuse me of arriving empty-handed, which was apparently the emotional equivalent of arriving naked. It feels rude, I said. It feels unfamiliar. I dislike how reasonable you've become. I dislike Lyle's replacement. He chews ice. His replacement? Long story. Leave the tart. I left it. During the drive to Atlanta, I thought about turning around twice. Not because I did not want to see Adam and Claire, because I did. Hope made me more nervous than anger had. Anger had rules. It told me where to stand and what to refuse. Hope asked me to walk back into a relationship without pretending it had become safe, simply because everyone had learned better words. I arrived 6 minutes early. Adam opened the door wearing an apron that said, "Kiss the cook." "Did you buy that?" I asked. "Wedding gift." "From whom?" "Uncle Ray. He wants carbohydrates. Do not trust him." Adam took my coat. His eyes moved toward my empty hands, and for 1 second I wondered if I had failed a test nobody meant to give. Then he smiled. "You didn't bring anything. I brought myself. That sounds difficult for you. I have a tart at home suffering because of this. I'm proud of you." "Don't be. Diane is taking it." Claire came from the kitchen carrying a wooden spoon. "You're here. I am." She hugged me and I smelled garlic and something faintly burned. "What's for dinner?" I asked. "Braised beef. Is it supposed to smell like that?" "No," Adam said. Claire pointed the spoon at him. The onions caught for 30 seconds. They caught fire. There was no fire. There was a flame. Fire requires intent. I looked at Adam. "She's been talking to Diane." "I heard that," Claire called as she returned to the kitchen. Their house felt different from my last visit. The 2 dark tables still occupied too much of the dining room, but a pale rug beneath it softened the effect. Someone had placed a bowl of oranges in the center. I touched the back of one chair. The rug helps. Adam looked delighted. "I told Claire you'd say that. I said the table needed a smaller room. We couldn't return the room." Claire appeared in the doorway. "I still like the table." "You should," I said. "You paid extra to receive it." She winced, then saw my face. "Was that a joke?" "Mostly." "We're getting better at this," Adam said. "Are we?" "No idea." He went to check the beef. I offered to help once. Claire shook her head. "We've got it." "Are you sure?" "Yes. I can make a salad." "There is a salad." "I could set the table." "It's set." I looked into the dining room. Plates, napkins, and glasses waited in their places. "What am I supposed to do?" "Sit," Adam said. "That seems inefficient." "Practice." They gave me a glass of wine and directed me to the living room. I sat alone for 4 minutes, listening to cupboard doors open and close in the kitchen. It was surprisingly uncomfortable. I could hear Adam asking Claire where she had put the serving spoon. I knew where their serving spoons were. Left drawer beside the stove, beneath the pot holders. I had organized that drawer when they moved in. I stayed seated. Claire joined me with her own glass of wine. "He found the spoon," she said. I knew he would. He looked in 3 places. Still counts. She sat on the other end of the couch. "How's your class?" "Paula has moved into abstract work." "Intentionally?" "We're not sure." "And the pond?" The orange pond had been selected for the Art Center's spring exhibit. I suspected the instructor chose 1 piece from every student, but Diane had spent a week behaving as if I were being considered by a major museum. "It'll be on display next month." Claire turned toward me. "Really?" "In the lobby. That's wonderful. It looks like a chemical spill." "When is it?" I told her the date. She reached for her phone, then paused. "May I put it in our calendar?" The question touched me more than it should have. "Yes." She entered the date. "Adam will want to come. He doesn't have to." I said want. I know. She set her phone face down. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for asking. I wasn't sure you would. I wasn't either. The honesty settled between us without becoming a threat. Adam called from the kitchen that dinner was ready. Claire and I carried our wine into the dining room. She had made a green salad with pears and walnuts. Adam brought the beef in a heavy pot and set it on the table with unnecessary ceremony. Behold, he said. The onions survived, Claire told me. Some gave their lives, Adam said. The meal was good. Not good in the way people say when the cook is watching. Actually good. I told them so. Adam narrowed his eyes. Medical office voice? No. That would be, the texture is interesting. Claire laughed. We talked about my friends, Adam's supervisor, and the art market Claire had visited after I declined. She had bought the ugly ceramic bowl. It lives in our bedroom, Adam said. It does not. You put it on the dresser. I haven't decided where it belongs. That is what Mom said about the lamp for 6 years. The lamp was different, I said. The lamp was a threat. Halfway through dinner, Claire and Adam exchanged a look. I put down my fork. What? Nothing, Adam said. That look was something. Claire touched the stem of her wine glass. My mother called this morning. I waited. She wants to do Easter at your house. I stared at her. Why? Because you have more room than Denise and Mom doesn't want to cook. Marcy has an entire house. She says her oven heats unevenly. Her oven is 2 years old. I know. Adam leaned forward. We told her no. You did? Immediately. Something warm moved through me, followed by something less comfortable. You should have asked me. Adam blinked. What? You should have asked whether I wanted to host. You don't. That isn't the point. His mouth fell open. Claire covered a smile with her napkin. No, Adam said. I am not accepting this. We finally tell someone not to use you, and now we're wrong because we didn't give her a chance to use you. I don't want you protecting me by making decisions for me either. I did not make a decision for you. I prevented a terrible question. What exactly did Marcy ask? She asked Claire to ask you. And what did Claire say? Claire lowered her napkin. I said, we weren't volunteering your house or your work. I considered that. All right. That part was good. Thank you, Claire said. Adam pointed at her. Don't encourage this. But if I'm going to have an adult relationship with both of you, you can ask me for things. Adam stared. You have spent 6 months telling us not to ask you for things. No. I told you I would not do things to earn my place. What's the practical difference? I get to decide. You always got to decide. Technically. But none of us behaved as if no were a safe answer. Claire nodded slowly. So if we had asked about Easter, I would have said no. Adam threw both hands in the air. Then why are we arguing? We aren't. We are absolutely arguing. I am explaining. In your medical office voice. I smiled. Claire laughed first. Adam lasted another 3 seconds before joining her. When we settled, I said, you don't need to be afraid of needing me. I don't want you to stop asking for help. I want you to hear my answer without deciding what it says about how much I love you. Adam's expression softened. I can do that. You will occasionally fail. Have some faith. I raised you. Claire reached for the bread. I can ask Mom whether she wants help hiring a caterer, she said, without volunteering anyone's house. Good. And if she becomes offended, let her. Claire smiled. That is becoming easier. We continued eating. Near the end of dinner, Adam asked whether I had seen any of the finished wedding photographs besides the one on my console table. A few. The album came. I felt my shoulders tighten. He noticed. I'm not asking you to look at it. Good. We didn't redo the family portraits. I know. Claire told the photographer to leave the set as it was. I looked at her. She held my gaze. I didn't want to create a version where you were there, she said. You weren't. The words hurt. They also honored the hurt in a way the staged photograph never could have. Adam rubbed his thumb against the edge of his plate. I still wish I could change it. I know. I keep thinking if I'd gotten off, you would have been late too. I should have been, yes. Claire looked down. Adam reached across the table and took her hand. The gesture did not erase her part. It did not excuse his. It told me they were trying to stand inside the truth without making it destroy everything around it. I wore Dad's cufflinks to work Friday, Adam said. With what? My blue suit. They do not go with that suit. They're silver. They have black stripes. No one noticed. I would have. That is exactly why I did not ask you. Claire looked between us. He showed them to everyone. I showed Ben and the barista. The barista complimented them. She asked why you were holding up the line. Adam turned to me. They're in my desk now. Why aren't they at home? I don't want to lose them. Your father kept them in a dish with loose screws and cough drops. He also lost one in a shoe. That was Walter. Too many wedding people, Claire said. We laughed. After dinner, Claire stood and began stacking plates. I rose automatically. Sit, she said. I can help, I know. Adam collected the serving dishes. You cooked, I said. Let me clean. We invited you to dinner, he said. Not to close the restaurant. That line sounds rehearsed. It was. Claire carried the plates toward the kitchen. We practiced in the car yesterday. You live here, I called after her. We needed neutral ground. I sat back down. For a few minutes, I listened to them work. Water ran in the kitchen. Adam opened the wrong cabinet. Claire corrected him. Neither called my name. I ran one finger over the edge of the dark table. The last time I sat there, I had believed every offer concealed an expectation, and every refusal would become evidence against me. Some of that suspicion remained. It probably would for a while. Trust returned in ordinary installments. Adam brought dessert. 3 slices of chocolate cake already on plates. You had dessert, I said. We told you. The tart was lemon. Call Diane. Maybe she left some. She did not. We ate cake at the table. Claire asked whether I wanted more coffee. I said no. She accepted the answer without offering tea, water, or a reason I might reconsider. When it was time to leave, Adam brought my coat. Claire wrapped 1 slice of cake in foil and held it out. I know you said no more, she said. Do you want this for tomorrow? I considered it. Yes. She handed it to me. No one made the choice mean more than it did. They walked me to the door. Adam kissed my cheek. Claire hugged me. Outside, rain had begun, a soft tapping against the porch roof. Adam looked toward my car. I can get an umbrella. I'm 6 steps away. The driveway is slippery. I know how driveways work. He stayed on the porch. Text me when you get home, he said. I will. I reached my car without incident and turned to wave. They were still standing in the doorway together. At home, I put the leftover cake in the refrigerator and sent the promised message. Home. Dinner was lovely. Claire replied first. We're glad you came. Then Adam sent a photograph of the dark dining table after they had cleared it. The bowl of oranges sat in the middle beneath the light. Next month, he wrote. I opened my calendar. The first Thursday was supper with Paula and Gloria. The second Saturday was Diane's birthday, assuming she had not replaced us with another unsuitable man. The Arts Center exhibit opened the following weekend. There was space on the 4th Sunday. I called Adam instead of texting. Everything okay? He asked. Yes. I thought you were home. I am. Then why are you calling? You asked about next month. Oh. I heard Claire say something in the background. Adam waited. He did not suggest a date. He did not tell me when Claire was free or which Sunday would be easiest. He simply waited for my answer. I have a few things on the calendar, I said. That's good. The 4th Sunday might work. Might? I said might. All right. I looked at the lemon tart box on the counter, now empty except for a smear of filling Diane had missed. Probably, I said. Adam smiled into his voice. Probably is good. Neither of them asked me to make it certain.